2+2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, trivia time with Shaun Deeb and Barry Greenstein. More coverage of the WSOP Asia Pacific. Now, here they are, signing up for Doug Lee's super advanced angling lessons, Terrence and Adam.
Welcome, everybody, to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. Nah, I'm not going to do the opening.
You were just too lazy to write one.
I wasn't too lazy to write one. You're a comedy goalie. I'm trying to start
comedy goalie, the comedy cock blocker.
You are. I was trying to get that thing as a standard open to the show.
We can have running gags and all of this. So giving up the white guy rap gig. Well, for now, the professional career of MC Schwartz is I can't even say that.
MC Schwartz.
MC Schwartz.
That's a hard thing to say.
I'm not going to give it up forever. I'm not going to say that's never going to make a comeback, but every week it gets kind of hard to write. How do these guys write raps, like albums full of raps, and remember them all?
And the dudes that freestyle. I mean, you could write, because, I mean, writing is like a process. You sit down, you got your pad and your paper, you go, and I'm sure you could write. I'm sure if you really, really focused on it, you could probably write like halfway competent rap music, poetry, all this kind of stuff, like this content generation stuff. But the freestyle guys are the ones that are amazing to me. Like, the guys getting in rap battles and stuff like that, and you say thing and I say thing, I'm like, holy shit.
That really separates, like a really good rapper from like a guy in the studio who can
write well
and just do it, to a guy who can just off the top of his head and
just think of rhymes and think of cadence and rhythm and
it's like a chess game almost.
Yeah,
it's true.
You're
with less defined rules.
I'm a rap guy.
You got the rap gig coming up
tonight? Yep.
Do you really?
Absol. No, I'm not rapping.
Oh,
I'm going to see a rapper.
I was like, shit. I thought you were just like an audio producer. I'm like, you have this like second career that I didn't know about.
Did you run into him walking around town, the guy you're going to see tonight, or was that just a one-time
just
thing?
Killer Mike.
Oh, just Killer Mike.
I have met my fair share of hip-hop artists, though. It's pretty fun.
That is PokerCast Ross, by the way, the producer on the ones and twos again. Thanksgiving week. Now,
in Canada.
In Canada, we have
North
Thanksgiving
of the 49th.
A month earlier. It's second Monday of every October.
Correct.
A little earlier. Did you have a full spread?
I did. Wonderful. So one thing I didn't know, by the way, so we always talk about how Canadian we are, and this is sort of this running theme, and I don't want to overdo it. Did you know Americans don't have ham on Thanksgiving?
No.
Canadians have ham and turkey. Of course, everybody's turkey on Thanksgiving. Canadians have ham and turkey, and apparently this is surprising to Americans. So I was at my good friend Chris Danix over in Kelowna, British Columbia, visiting his tremendously pregnant wife. So I went over to their Thanksgiving, and his mother-in-law, made the ham, made the turkey, and Danick goes, is ham a Canadian thing? And everybody in the room is Canadian. And
yeah.
Well, yeah, you guys don't have ham? So apparently, yes. So we do it in October, and we do it with ham. That's our thing.
Turkey and ham.
Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. Went up to
hang out with Danik?
Kelowna. My girlfriend in Kamloops, British Columbia.
Nice.
Marco Valerio's favorite city.
That is. He wants to.
Because it's called Kamloops, and he thinks, I believe in his words, it sounds like a child named it.
Oh yeah, it's probably
Fruit
right.
Loops.
It's the Fruit Loops.
So I had Thanksgiving dinner at my father-in-law's place, and my son and I wanted to take a picture of it at a Canadian Thanksgiving. You mentioned ham. We had a plate full of bacon.
Oh, cool!
Like just a plate
it's like
full
ham,
of bacon.
but better.
It was fantastic. I wanted to take a picture. I forgot. But my son has just discovered. He's 9. He's just discovered gravy. He never wanted to try it. He's picky. Right?
I guess it looks kind of gross when you first look at it.
Yeah, it's like
what is this, Dad? Oh, it's like animal
liquid
fat that's been melted and rendered. Yeah,
looks
great.
Fair
enough. Yeah.
So he's just discovered how great gravy is, and then the bacon is. So what happened was, he's like, wow, this is great. You just see his eyes just when he tried the gravy, right?
Yeah.
So he pours some extra gravy after he's done. His plate's empty. He pours gravy on his plate, gets his spoon, and starts just eating the gravy. Then he looks over and he sees the bacon, and he's like, you could see it in his head, like, oh, bacon plus gravy.
Things are happening
so
here.
He got the bacon.
Fuck yeah.
Nice. So he grabs the bacon and he starts using the bacon mop on the gravy, and he's just woofing it. I'm like, that's my son, right?
Is
there.
a bacon spoon? Was it crispy bacon? Like you could really dig in
Yeah,
there? Like,
yeah, it wasn't limp bacon. It was, he could scoop up. It was like a bacon spoon, exactly. A lot of fun there. Thanksgiving, pig out.
So Thanksgiving, So Thanksgiving's a fun one. Columbus Day in the United States, which is far less cool because, as people are discovering, Chris Columbus was
not the coolest guy in the world.
Was a dickhead. he was kind of shitty.
Yeah, he's not
out
a good
there.
human.
He raped and pillaged stole and not a cool dude.
Yeah.
But of course, So they're I think one state like renamed. I want to say Washington.
Columbus Day.
They renamed Columbus Day to be something else day.
Non-pillaging day.
Yeah, like let's name it after a dude who didn't kill a bunch of people day, something like that. Would have a nice ring to it. Probably.
Didn't catch Ebola this week, so I'm probably that's another week by that we did not get Ebola.
You weren't on a flight.
Yeah, did you see the guy or the person who has Ebola got on a commercial flight and figured it'd be okay to just fly somewhere?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess
weird.
He didn't know he had Ebola. He just thought he was
I thought he
sick.
Did. I didn't really.
I think he was just kind of feeling under the weather. I mean, if every guy, I mean, it would be nice if nobody who ever felt kind of sick, got on a plane. But realistically, like, how many times have you been on a flight and the guy next to you is like hacking up along? Right? Like,
it's often.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, did you watch the World Series of Poker coverage this week?
I watched the first episode, so I think episode 5, but not 6, 5. Or 6, but not 6.
Yeah,
I don't think I think it was just 5 this week.
There was 2. Yeah, there was 2 episodes
was
this week.
there?
Yeah,
there.
And
okay.
So there's this running thing that Norman Chad has.
Yes.
And he's talking, and he's
there are a few running things that Norman Chad has.
Yeah, well, the divorce, but I'm talking about this year specifically. He's got the Mark Newhouse running thing, where he's saying if Newhouse makes back-to-back final
I will
tables,
do X. Yeah.
I'll do X. And X has been he climbed the Sears Tower in flip-flops. He's going to walk. He's going to walk the Vegas Strip backwards, barefoot, singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars."
I believe this week was a zip line with Mattisau on his back.
So, like all kinds of these. And of course, here's the thing: like when he's doing this a commentary, the voiceover to the poker hands. Yeah, he knows that Newhouse has already made the final table.
Of course, it's like this. It's hard because we all kind of realize the World Series is this entertainment product. It's not covered like a sporting event. Yeah. So it's this weird sort of quasi reality TV. It's reality TV / sports / whatever, right? Like, but that's the kind of thing. But you would never even for you and I it is. But let's put yourself in the shoes of somebody who didn't know that the November 9 has already happened. Right?
There's a lot of people like that, I think.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So like, pretend for a moment you're one of them. All right. So you're tuning in on was it Tuesday night, and you're watching this. I don't know because I always watch it on the internet.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Whatever night of the week it's on.
Yeah.
So you're tuning in, you're watching. You don't know what's happening. You're glued. You're captivated, and you're listening to Norman Lon. Do you watch this the same way that you watch a baseball game? Not really, right? Like you can tell it's different because the announcers are cracking jokes constantly. They kind of stop to do these interludes. You can even so you can tell it's edited. It's not every hand because like one of the things that happened from episode 5 this week was 2 guys were talking about a hand that on TV was like 2 minutes ago, and he goes, "Do you remember that hand where X?" Well, of course you remember that hand with X if it was actually live because it happened 35 seconds ago.
Right.
But probably in real life it was like 4 hours.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like how as a poker production, and I want to talk about this a little bit more too because there's a lot of talk this week about how to make poker TV better. Do you pretend like if you're Norman Chad, do you pretend like this thing is still a mystery, like it's still a suspense, or do you kind of try to take a documentary approach to it? Because that's the way I sort of see a thing, right? So like if I watch a documentary, for example, I watched a documentary on Burning Man, for example. I don't expect that there's going to be a I don't expect the narrator not to know what's going to happen at the end of the Burning Man, but I expect them to present it in a way that's compelling because I don't necessarily know what happened at the end because I wasn't at Burning Man, for example. So again, if you don't watch if you don't follow poker news, if you don't follow the the ESPN coverage or WSOP.com coverage, you don't know what's going to happen. But is it still presented in like a suspenseful way? Oh my God, is Mark Newhouse going to make the November 9?
Is that better than the way they do it? I
don't know.
I don't know the answer to this question. Well, then we might as well get into the how to make TV poker better, in our opinion.
Sure.
Or there's a lot of talk about it out there. First off, I think we criticized last week the fact that this Rystat and
Kyle
Keranen thing, was that good TV? Was that the best use of their TV? And then I thought about it more, and I was thinking, well, some of the poker was interesting, and it followed this week with Keranen busting Rystad in a spot where Rystad just butchered his hand.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking, well, maybe it was not bad poker. No, maybe it was not wasn't a bad storyline.
Because it's a setup. Because it's a setup.
It's a setup to this. Plus,
otherwise, it just looks like a guy playing bad, right?
Right, exactly. You need to finish the story. Plus, we're going to have a lot more episodes because the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, we haven't seen many of the final table guys. We haven't seen anything from except maybe Billy Pappas. I think we saw a hand this week from, and maybe one before. But we haven't seen a lot of the guys. A little bit of Newhouse here and there. But and I'm thinking we're going to get to that because we've got a lot of
subplots
of shows that are coming up that they can start building around that.
Yeah.
And this is more of a thing that they have to show now because it's obviously these guys don't go deep.
Right, and I think they are more in some ways more compelling stories. Like you said, Billy Pappas is an interesting story because there's background, rare kind of amateur
Lots
player.
to talk about.
The Newhouse story is obviously really compelling, but they're focusing. There's a lot of focus on obviously the Rystad and Keranen thing. A lot of focus on Maria Ho because she's a woman, she's nice to look at, and people know who she is. Like there's all all that kind of stuff. Bruno Politano is sort of just like they show him scooping in chips like a lot of time.
Right.
That's a little bit of foreshadowing. It just seems to like make big hands and scoop in chips and all this kind of stuff. But maybe it's because there's not as many compelling storylines with the guys who end up
with the other.
We
don't know. We don't have access to all
the
the hands that were played.
Yeah, and they also they can only focus on really the feature table and maybe one other table, and then they're just kind of roving around the room to see what kind of crazy shit that happens.
And that's not going to be.
They don't have control.
Right. You're not going. They're not going to be able to do a good production of a hand on one of those outer tables. They've got to use one of the.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe table 174 was like by far the most interesting table, but they can't focus on that table because they don't have the infrastructure all set up to do that.
I thought the segment with the chip ruffling. Did you see that?
I was
surprised.
That
was totally forced.
You really? I thought it was funny.
I thought it was okay, but I was really surprised how bad they were.
Oh yeah,
no kidding. Like you can't do 8 chips.
Yeah,
what the hell? I can do them with both hands.
You've been playing poker longer. Most of these guys have been playing poker longer than I've been alive, and and they have bigger hands than me too. Like JRB and like Helmuth. You think they're tall guys with big hands? They can't.
They were sort of newish chips, though. I will give them that they weren't
tournament chips.
They were tournament chips. They're a little bit harder than cash game chips. They get rounded edges.
They'll slide off. Like, why are you even trying to do 8 chips?
I burst out laughing so hard when Phil Hellmuth shuffles the 8 chips and then gets up and does the fist
bump. Yeah, like what?
Spins around the chair.
I was surprised that he was like playing for second, right? Like he went.
That's right.
He was, but it is kind of like a typical almost Phil Hellmuth thing. Like let's just win the small pots kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you would have thought his ego would have been like, I'm going to riffle 2 full stacks. Like,
I know,
which is funny. Like I mean, I feel like if I had bigger hands, like 2 full stacks, I'd just be like, let's go for it. Let's hit it.
So I can't. You think back to the nuts segment that everybody loved. Remember the demise of the nuts used to be on there, and they went out and kicked field goals.
Yeah.
They did fun stuff. That was more interesting watching guys shuffle chips.
I think this one was actually better than the one before, where they were like dealing cards.
Yeah,
that was a bit painful.
Come on, yeah. So I think if they're going to do that. I think they need to take it a step farther and do those on location or something that's going to be
who was it that I can't remember. I think it was maybe Pokerless or Bluff that did the having poker pros play children's games. That was fun.
That is funny, right?
The guess
Jenga
or
Snakes and Ladders.
And Hungry Hippos.
Oh, did they?
But the best was the Guess Who that they did with Poker Pros.
I didn't see it.
So they basically, the game Guess Who, where you've got like 30 faces in front of you, but they did it with like Poker Pros. So they'd be like, did this guy win the World Series main event? And they'd be like, no, and they knock out a bunch of things.
Yeah,
so that'd be kind of cool.
That is good. Yeah,
so, but it's hard, right? Because I mean, we always talk about, do we just want 42 minutes of people playing poker? Yeah, maybe not. Like how much human interest stuff is there? A lot of guys have interesting stories, and I think anytime you have the main event, it's easy to cherry pick guys who have interesting stories. Like at least up until you've got like 30
so many
players.
Stories to pick from.
Yeah, I mean, you've literally have 7,000 people, or 6,000 people, and then at some point, you get to the point where okay, everybody in the field is the tournament pro or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's maybe a little bit less interesting. But yeah, it's hard to come up with original content.
Well, you said so. Like you said, entertainment versus documentary. When you're televising poker, I don't think you can be documentary because people aren't just going to be engulfed in it. And like you said, you have access to all these stories that are fun to follow and fun to expand on, to make it entertaining instead of just the poker. So, and honestly, I the hands that they have shown, I've liked so far this year. I think they've done well with their hand selection, as in compared to years past, where they would be more concerned about big, huge, giant pots, and a lot of the times that's going to be aces versus
there was a hand
ace king or something,
ace queen against Jack 10. I think Griffin
that was
Banger
great.
had Jack 10. He I don't exactly remember how it went down, but I think he donk bet an open ender and then like bet 3-bet with still an open ender with a flush possible, and then he gave up on the river, and ace high ends up winning this gigantic pot.
So that was fascinating on the river, how they both check.
Yeah,
when there's a lot of money in the middle.
The ace queen, it makes a lot of sense to check. I mean, it's you have a little bit more showdown value. I'm really surprised.
Not much.
When a guy the pots that big, you basically have about what? Yeah.
Griffin led the turn, got raised, and called with his open ender and one card flush draw. They both brick the river. The board pairs.
Right.
How much showdown equity does ace queen have?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but the thing is there that if you're betting, what is your value betting range there too? Like a full house is about all you kind of have there.
I guess,
So you have to think, because if you're who was that had Jack 10, but you have to think. That the other guy now has a flush that he's scared of because of the board pairing, right? Like, so now you think, being in second position, that Griffin now probably has a flush that he got scared of because of the river, because he doesn't actually have the nut flush blocker in his hand too.
No, he's got the queen of clubs. He's got ace
flush
queen of clubs. Yeah.
So you kind of think that he's slowing down because of the board pair, not slowing down because he's giving up on his bluff.
Yeah.
But interesting stuff.
It was a good hand,
exactly like you said. Interesting hands as opposed to just like ridiculous coolers. Of course, there was the Dan Smith cooler set of queens against top two pair. I saw that hand and watching it, and I see that flop come down. I'm like, really? Yeah. Really, Dan Smith needs that? So
I didn't love the guy's call. I thought he was beat most of the time there. But
I think it's a really tough spot. The pot's big, and it doesn't take much for if there's any reasonable possibility that Dan Smith is on a draw. I agree. It's a tough spot. Like the ace is almost the only card that kind of rescues him.
Yeah.
Other than maybe like a straight card or something like that. But rough spot. What are you gonna you flop top two, then against top set you're gonna lose them up.
But great that we're talking about hands.
I think
that were interesting rather than just
that people like that you and me who are maybe jaded about poker hands and stuff like that can even talk about this stuff like that is definitely good. So there's a good mix. I mean, some of it you gotta get lucky too, right? Like we said, there's one feature table. I mean, sometimes all the hands are boring. I mean,
because they're just not too deep. So maybe the two guys who are shallower can play hand, but we got some deep plays. And the Rystat stuff with Kyle Keranen was fairly deep because those guys were the chip leaders.
It's nice. Well, and it's also nice to when you have one kind of spew box at the table too, because that changes the dynamic a lot. Like if you just have 9 pros and nobody gets too far out of line, the hands aren't going to be nearly as interesting.
Are Norm and Lon the perfect poker commentators?
It's interesting, right? Like for this context to bring poker to the masses, maybe they are.
If you could pick anybody to do the ESPN coverage of the World Series of Poker main event, who would you pick?
Can it be us so that we get cooler jobs and a wider audience? I mean,
I like Stapes.
No, everybody but anybody in this room.
Stapes is a good one.
There's a lot of good people.
I love Stapes too, but I'm not sure I don't pick Norm and Lon.
Yeah. Right, just for the general demographic of appealing to Joe public.
Plus, I enjoy them. I think I get a kick out of their coverage. I think
it comes off as a little too forced sometimes. Like when they did the thing where I can't remember. It's like the opening segment where he was pretending. I don't remember exactly what they're talking about, but Norm says at the very end, like, don't. It was something scripted, and there are a few scripted moments like that where you can just tell that their interaction was planned, and maybe
for
this
sure.
just takes 7 or 8, and that's kind of cringy to me.
Yeah,
I think a little bit.
We're nitpicking, right?
But most of the time, yeah, it's the chemistry is unquestionably there.
Yeah. I think they're perfect.
Not a main event winner name joke gets me.
The not event. Say that again.
When somebody gets busted out and he says, "Well, that guy's name wasn't a main
right,"
event
because he had some weird name. But in fairness, Norman at least has retired some of these. Like
the ex-wife, you don't get a lot of ex-wife.
The college, like such and such went to college. I believe they're
the Horn Frogs or whatever. He says.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's at least starting to turn the material over. Like at least the inventory. We're blowing the cobwebs off of some of the old jokes.
Yeah. No, he's good. One interesting thing he said this week. I wanted to get your take on, and it was one of those scripted opens where they're standing there together, and I've done those, and they're tough, especially for somebody who doesn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
You've got to try to maintain
this
level
a lot of
pressure on you.
Interaction and authenticity,
right?
While at the same time kind of nailing exactly, because it is supposed to be polished. It is supposed to be clean, right? Like when you watch, if you say you're watching a hockey broadcast and you've got the professional guy and the sports analyst, who's usually some retired player or something like that, they can just kind of go, well, okay, the Canucks really need to get in and establish their forecheck, and the Oilers really need to move the puck on the back.
You just do it off the top of your head.
Exactly, you're just doing it off the top. But when you're setting a stage for something that's entertainment, it's got to be cleaner.
Specific, and I actually did one with Roger Millions. So up here in Canada, there's a guy who's a television presenter for hockey. His name's Roger Millions. He does other sports too for the networks up here. And it was my first time ever on camera, and I was doing color commentary for the Canadian Poker.
What did you wear, out of curiosity?
I had my only suit. The only suit.
You actually wore, sir?
I had my funeral suit on. Yeah,
exactly. The funerals. Wow, I can't even picture.
I had my funeral suit.
Somebody out there get some footage of that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
There's a photo on Google.
There is somewhere, yeah. And I'm standing there, and I've never done one of these on camera, and it's right off the top. And I can't remember. Like, there's this big thing I'm supposed to remember and say, and I blow it a couple of times.
You didn't have a teleprompter?
Well, because I don't know where to look. No, I didn't know teleprompter. But I don't know where to look. I'm confused because I watch enough of this kind of stuff to realize that the person has to be staring at the camera while simultaneously looking back and forth to the guy you're talking to.
Yeah, you never. It's hard to know exactly where to look. Are you talking? I encounter this more being interviewed, on Poker News or whatever. Right. Am I talking to Sarah Grant, or am I looking in the camera?
Yeah, exactly. So I between that and not being able to remember this long script, I fucked it up a couple times, and it got to the point where Millions he's not happy with me. Like he's just okay. It doesn't matter that it's my first time.
Who is this amateur that they've put
me with this guy who can't do anything, and and now the pressure becomes more and more, right? Yeah. You got camera guys, you got lights, you got money being spent. This guy is not helping it at all. And I've got a couple funny Roger Millions stories from that trip, but I'll maybe another day. But so anyway, I understand how difficult it is, and they write them like right there, just before you're about to go on camera. It's not like something to spend a lot of time on, and I'm not sure exactly how it works with Lon and Norm, but
it seems pretty polished.
He said something this week. He said, here's a quote from the intro. He said, Mark Newhouse is stalking back-to-back main event final tables against staggering numbers. Is Mark Newhouse a better player than everybody else? I doubt it. Which I thought
weird.
It came off kind of judgmental.
What does one thing have to do with another, right?
Right.
Is he a good player?
Why do we
clearly that's obvious. Yes, he's a good player. Is he the best player? Well, no. If you're talking about a 7,000 player field, well, I don't know if anybody.
And what evidence is there that he isn't? Maybe
that's also
is,
true.
Right?
Maybe he just is. Like, why would you say he's the best player than everybody else? I mean, just because he doesn't have this Phil Ivey or Patrick. Like, you think about it. If it were Ivey trying to accomplish the same feat, people would literally be on their knees, salivating, and it would just be oh my god, look at all this evidence we have, godlike stuff. Well,
ooh, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Yes. My apologies. It's a family show. I realize. I always forget our gambling show is very supposed to be family friendly.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Yes. But why pick on Newhouse? He's done this amazing thing.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. But I'm looking forward to see what happens. Getting back to all these things that he's saying he's going to do if Newhouse makes back-to-back final tables. Maybe that becomes a segment.
That's what I was just going to say. Like,
which,
they're going to do this weird thing
on the final table night, right? But so now he's got to fly to the Sears Tower. He's got to walk up this thing flip-flop. He's got to go to Vegas and walk.
I don't think they'll let him zip line with Mattisau on his back. I don't see the Rio.
There's some insurance issues there. Yeah, I think for sure. So other than that, there's this talk, like I was saying, about how to make TV poker better. What's your take? How can we make this product better? And I don't know which one specifically we're talking about when we say better, because generally the World Series of Poker I enjoy personally a lot. I don't know.
I think it's a little long. I mean, most people have said like it's you're not going to follow it every.
You'd rather
week.
be a half hour every week instead of an hour.
I don't know if it's a half an hour. Well, it's 2 1 hours every week.
Right. So, in half-hour segments.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind the hour segment, maybe one of them, but in terms of number of weeks, at the same time, people are saying, oh, it should start on day one. I mean, in the end, like, content is, a lot of people feel that just more content is better, right? Like, we run into this. I'm a big MMA fan. We run into this. The UFC is running too many shows because most people know that UFC used to do 6-7 shows, and now it seems like every week they're doing UFC, and they're like, oh, they're watering down their product. But I'm always of the opinion, like, hey, I got nothing to do on Saturday night. I'll watch it, and if I don't, then whatever. I'll miss it. Whatever.
I don't know anything about UFC, but I don't get that argument at all. That makes no sense to me because it's not something.
Nobody's forcing you to watch it.
Right. Nobody's forcing you to watch it, and there's enough of great fighters out there that you can have cards all the time. Like, why do people watch golf every week?
There are 100. How many baseball games are in a season? Like 160
exactly.
or whatever.
That one makes no sense to me.
So, but. I sort of see where people are coming from because they want to follow the World Series narrative, right? Like, because they're watching this sort of pseudo reality soap opera kind of thing. But overall, I think they're good. So I kind of found an article by Steve Ruddock that he wrote for
excellent
NJ.com.
writer.
But yeah, he had basically 3 ideas, and I'll just sort of encapsulate them. And I have varying opinions on these. I'm curious to get your opinions. The first idea he had was don't show the whole cards until the end of the hand.
Yeah.
The second idea is don't have the commentators talk about advanced strategy or even strategy at all so much. And the third one is stop making it a HUD and showing all the outs on the screen and advanced stats and stuff like this. So what are your thoughts? First, don't show the whole cards.
Terrible. I don't like that at all.
Really?
Yeah, me too.
No, I remember. Oh wait, is he saying don't show the whole cards at all, or show them after
until the end of the hand? So reveal it at the end of the hand.
No. Sorry, this one I like.
Okay, me too.
Take it back.
Me too. I'm surprised.
I thought he said no whole cards.
No. Show the whole cards at the end of the hand. They've done this before. They have the Jack Links sponsored. I don't remember the name.
Oh,
of the
that
thing.
one. But they also did on the live stream. They remember with the delay.
Yeah,
they showed the hands because they couldn't show them, but they did show them after the guys fold.
Right.
That was awesome.
That's great, and that was even awesome in the live stream context where it's not edited and you're looking at a bunch of boring hands. So some guy with ace-9 raises and
I want to see that.
Everybody folds 7-3 off or whatever. And but it's even better when you have an edited thing because it's play along at home because you're only going to get good hands, right? Like for example, you just imagine the ace-queen against Jack-10 hand that we talked about. Like put these guys on ranges at the end of the hand.
You're at the bottom,
it's hard
and they're at the bottom of both your ranges.
It's hard to conceive that, exactly, that this guy's got Jack-10 and this guy's got ace-queen with the queen of clubs.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing, and you even hear that a lot of times when you get the players talking and they're like, oh, you had ace-jack there, clearly, and then we all know that he had whatever, I think that stuff is great. I love this idea.
That idea.
Would you do it for the whole show? So if you're ESPN and I've just killed off the ESPN producer and now Adam Schwartz, you're in charge. Now this idea has been pitched to you in the boardroom. Do you think you could do it and sell it to the American public?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't think it's not because the complaint would be we don't get the information until we don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
But I think once they realize how interesting it makes watching a poker hand not knowing what they have,
I agree.
I think they'll realize that it's more fun. It's more interactive to me.
I don't know if that's as good for the general public though, because I think it's more interesting for us when we know strategy and a little bit about poker.
Could be right. Yeah.
But I think from the start of the hand, people will have no idea what's going on if they're watching it without the cards. They just see people pushing chips around.
That might be true. I mean, the other
you could do it different ways. You could do show one card.
You could show one. You could show one guy's hand, and then you're playing along with that guy.
Yep.
Because that's what happens when you play poker. You know your hand. You know one guy's hand.
Right.
Oh yeah. They do that on the EPT. They have like the sweat with this certain person. I like that a little bit more than not knowing both.
Right, because it is hard to Ross brings up a good point. It is hard to sort of process
backwards
two people's ranges, right?
But you also have to process the hand backwards once you realize the hand is. It's like, oh, pause. Wait a second, because you've got a PVR, you're going to go back and go, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially as an average public person, you're not used to following the action on every street, right?
Yeah.
You're like, even when I watch on ESPN, I kind of forget sometimes, like when it gets to the river, like who was in position and who was out of position, because they don't always show that, because they show the guy if he's on the button, but for example, if there's like a raise and a cold call and then a blind call, then you get this, they bet somebody out on the flop. You're just like, oh wait, who was the original raiser and all this kind of stuff. When you're playing live, that you obviously keep in mind. But I like the showing.
So the other thing about that, and I don't know how to articulate this, and it's, I think, bringing to Ross's point about casual players watching this versus people who understand poker. When you drop that information into somebody who understands poker's head, and they can contextualize it with what they've just watched a lot easier than a casual player.
Yes, exactly. Because of what I just said, like it's easy for us to follow the action, and even not necessarily easy. Imagine the guy at home who doesn't play a lot of poker, like trying to figure out hand ranges.
You might confuse them.
Exactly. So
they're not even thinking about hand ranges, I don't think.
Right. Thinking, though, this guy has a pair of sevens, right? Like it's not even like you sort of go through this as an evolution of a poker pro thinks, okay, this guy could have a flush draw, a straight draw of this hand, a medium pair, something like top pair with an overcard kicker, and then it goes all the way down to the absolute bottom of the continuum where it's like, oh, I think this guy has a pair of eights, and then it goes up from there, like, oh, he might have like eights, nines, or tens, or he might have like eights, nines, tens, and ace queen, and,
he must have a full house, or even if you get like the average guy's like, oh, I think he has a big hand, or I think jump
he's
to
bluffing.
The top of his range, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's so here, but I still think that there is definitely there's definitely a way to do this, and I think how you combat the following the hand problem is by doing a better job of presenting that. And I don't know exactly what it is, but maybe you can
presenting the hand as
exactly presenting the action, right? Because if somebody like you or somebody like me isn't entirely sure at all times what the action is, it's not at all reasonable to expect the guy at home. Like a lot of times, like I don't know what the blinds are, right? But if I see a guy say like raise to 66,000, well, I know the big blind is probably between 20 and 30,000, right? Like it's probably like either 10-20 or 15-30 or something like that, because I know like the guy probably didn't make it 66K to go if it's 4-8, right? Like so, you kind of have to like reverse engineer that stuff, and that requires a lot of poker experience to be able to do stuff like that. But I think it's viable.
So the answer is we need 2 broadcasts each week, one with the hole cards after the hand and one the hole cards during the hand, or interactive TV.
Right.
That's got to be coming.
Well,
it's
got to be. Yeah, it's got to be on the way. And I always think this too for regular sports. I always think like, how many times have you watched whatever football, hockey, whatever it is, and wished the commentators would just shut the fuck up?
Oh, constantly.
But you don't put it on mute because you want to be able to hear crowd noise. You want to hear players crashing into each other. You want to hear all the. You want to feel like you're at the game, right? Like a lot of times you want to feel like you're at the game when you get that. Crowds crashing each other, whistles, all this kind of stuff, crowd noise, all this kind of stuff. But you don't want this fucking idiot talking to you about the offsides, right?
Right. And that's the evolution of sports, I think, in the future. And we're seeing it some in the NHL with ref cams and mic'd up and all that kind of stuff. Yep. I think you should get to a point with sports and something like hockey where you mic up a ref. You mic up a few of the players. You have no commentary, and your
it should be done by now.
Soundtrack is that should have happened.
It should
already.
be done by now.
Football,
exactly.
baseball,
like channels are cheap, right? Like they are. If you're NBC, you have like channel 340 to 390.
Yeah.
Just give me the fucking audio only feed, and I'll promise to watch the commercials. Even like Jesus, just give me what I want.
That HBO that HD show where it was like the Winter Classic, the Penguins versus
great.
Yeah, and
Right?
they mic'd up the players, and it was hilarious.
It's
Some of the
great.
shit
Yeah.
that they said.
I remember Claude Giroux was beaking off to somebody about face-offs. It was fantastic.
Oh, I don't remember. That's the HBO thing.
Yeah, 24/7. Yeah,
24/7.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. Should we see hole cards?
Hole cards.
What was
I think
the second one?
Second one is don't have the commentators talk about strategy so much.
Okay. I don't. Personally, I don't need them to talk strategy.
Yep.
I can do it myself in my head. So,
or you would rather have, like, instead of a Norman Chad, you'd probably want like an Olivier Bousquet or something like that, right? Like,
well, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah.
I think Norm's probably like I think Norm. One thing that Norman Chad does very, very well is I think he hits the right level of strategy for the audience.
Exactly,
right?
and that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
You got to keep the audience in mind. I don't think they talk a lot of strategy. To Steve's point here, Steve Ruddock's point, the writer, I don't think there's a lot of strategy that's really high level talked about on the World Series of Poker. So I'm fine with the way it is. As far as some of the other live streams and stuff, where you're actually targeting a strictly poker audience,
like people watching
EPTs, people watching live stream of EPTs.
Yeah.
I love when you get Ike in there and you get
you
Olivier and all those guys.
Dave Tuckman killed it in the summer with
Tuckman with the booth next to the final table was fantastic.
I think Norman hits the right level for ESPN because he does talk about, oh, this guy is nothing. What's going on? He should be way out of this hand or something like that. Yeah. And a lot of times it's results oriented and it's a little bit annoying because you know what they have and that part of it kind of annoys me. Like and not to pick on Norm because I hate it when every commentator does this where they know what the hand is and then they talk about the strategy like kind of in a reverse engineered way.
Yeah.
But I think they do okay on this.
So, I don't have a problem with the way it is now.
You kind of do have to talk about it. But again, it plays into the first thing. So if you didn't show the whole cards or you only show the whole cards of one player, then I think you would see a commentators be a lot more authentic about it. And that might make the job of somebody like Norm, who's not a pro poker player, although he's from what I understand a pretty good one. That might make their job a lot more difficult because once in a while they're going to look silly, and I think that's okay.
But you got to be ready to look silly. I mean, that's great poker players make mistakes. Why can't a commentator make a mistake?
I agree, but is the average guy at home going to say, well, no, clearly, like, oh, such a stupid read. Like the guy on TV said he was bluffing. What an idiot! And the guy turns up with a full house or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the third one is to not show not make it a HUD. Don't show all the outs across the top of the screen. Don't show stats about stack sizes or
PFR, that kind of stuff.
And I mean it's not clear from the article how far we go into if we're talking about VPIP, PFR, all that stuff, or if we're even talking. I mean, technically statistics are like how many big blinds does this guy have is a statistic, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think most serious quote unquote poker players would be the thing that they think about. Well, like the way you play a hand when you have 15 BB as opposed to when you have 90 is
totally different,
night and day.
Yeah.
So the advanced stats, I kind of don't like. Do we need to know every card across the screen that makes this guy's hand? I don't know.
I did. It
doesn't hurt much. I don't feel like it hurts much.
The outs doesn't bother me because I think that makes it easier for the casual player to see what cards he needs because it's really hard for them, like you and I will watch it or a poker player will watch it and instantly know what his outs are.
Right.
A guy who doesn't play very often and wants to watch this for entertainment doesn't know that.
Right. When he sees the 7 of spades just hit on the river, that doesn't instantly mean something to him.
No, he's got to think everything through if he's ready with the outs. I don't think that's really advanced stats showing the outs.
I think
that's making it easier.
And if we're talking about making it friendly, like you could even do more than that. You could even this is hard. I have it visualized in my head. It might be hard to describe, but you could even say like these cards make a flush, these cards make a straight, these cards give him an overpair, and just flash that quickly on the screen. So
or have Norm say it, or
that's hard because I think that arbitrarily it's the length of time people can read faster than they can listen, or that you can talk. But if you could just sort of show a quick graphic, like a graphic within the split screen sort of thing, and say like, okay, like all these clubs here will make a flush, and all these cards, all the 8s and all the 4s will make a guy a straight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I agree with that comment from Steve Ruddock, but it's an interesting article. It's good to get us thinking about these kind of things. I am big on board with the showing partial whole cards or showing no whole cards, that kind of stuff. I think that stuff really, really needs to happen because if you look at like a game show, for example, when you're watching Jeopardy, they don't caption it at the bottom of the screen saying the answer is what is Ireland, right? Like they go, you have to, and you feel proud when you're watching Jeopardy and you get the question that the pro, quote unquote, doesn't get. Like if you ever get an answer that Ken Jennings doesn't know, like you should feel pretty good about yourself, right? Like or you're at the Daily Double and this guy's like sweating and he's and I think that's fun too. Like when you're watching a guy at the Daily Double, he's betting his whole bankroll on the Daily Double and he's sweating and you watch the gears turning and he's finally like what is the Declaration of Independence or whatever, like that's a fun moment, and it wouldn't be as cool if they captioned it at the bottom of the screen, like, oh, this is the correct answer, by the way.
Right.
And so it's the same thing when you have the drama of, oh, Adams made a huge bet on the river and the Ford flush card came. Does he have it or not? And Terrence is sitting there with the nine of that flush suit, and he's agonizing. Decide, yeah. And every idiot at home can see, oh, you actually have the ace, the ace, and Terrence would be an idiot if he puts his chips in.
What a drama.
Exactly. Yeah. Not enough drama. So I like that idea.
But do you think the commentator in that spot should say, well, Terrence is sitting there with the 9 of clubs. That makes a 1-card flush. Adam would only bomb the river with air or the ace of clubs.
King or
so
something
he's
like
polarized
that,
his range. I mean, does
well,
that...
I don't think you should ever say something like polarize this range.
No,
unless you're going to do the
describe it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. Like, oh, Adams made such a big bet here.
He wouldn't do it with third nut flush.
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't do it with the jack or with the queen. So he's either got the ace or he's just trying to make Terrence think that he's got the ace, and I think that's a reasonable...
That's okay, right?
Yeah, that's easily understandable, especially when you have that particular situation where it's 1-card flush and everybody can understand it. That's a good thing that people get. They immediately understand the drama that Terrence, that I would be in. Oh man, there's 5 cards that could beat me, but I'm really only worried about the one.
Right.
But they can immediately empathize the situation.
Yeah. And then we were talking about the first part of that article was in-depth strategy, and
sure.
I don't know if you consider that in-depth strategy, but I think it's interesting. Rather than making an ex-wife joke, which
yeah, and like I said, I think most Norm and the ESPN writers, they do a good job of taking that amount, the right amount of strategy. Like we said, we don't say, oh, his range is clearly polarized and he would overbet the pot and blah blah.
Stapes does that a lot. I find in the EPT broadcast though, he talks more about like ranges and polarized. And...
Sure, it's an EPT podcast.
It's different. I think
broadcast, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah. You mentioned trivia and Jeopardy. Remember stripper trivia we used to do?
Yeah, I believe we invented stripper trivia in 2009 in Niagara Falls. Yeah,
we were at
WPT Falls View.
WPT Falls
Is that
View.
Still an event? I don't even know.
It's changed, I think. And we were in a strip club in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
I don't remember who we were with. I'm sure it was MJ and Bunner for sure. But we were a little bit bored, and you and I thought it'd be fun to come up with 4 general knowledge questions.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of the people have, well, I think we mentioned it on the show before, but for those that haven't heard it, we came up with 4 general knowledge questions, and we would ask the strippers who came by to talk, and bet on them how many they would get right.
Yeah, they would be asking if we wanted to dance, and we're starting to ask them what the chemical symbol for.
Here we come with the props.
Here we come with
what
the props,
iron is. But to provide a little more context to this, we originally came up with some questions which were way too fucking hard.
Did we?
Well, yeah, we did, and we'll give people an idea. I feel like our listenership will maybe understand this, but I don't want to incur the ire of the population of our Pokercast.
We weren't making fun of people. Look, some of the strippers got 3 or 5.
Exactly, but they were hard, and some of them got mad at us, which made me feel bad.
That was bad. We weren't trying to make fun of them. We were trying to actually have some fun with them.
Yeah, some people thought it was
the
like
same way
demeaning, but it wasn't. That wasn't
the spirit of it.
And then we ended up asking poker players, and poker players, to be quite honest, didn't
terrible.
do a whole lot better.
Let's
for
ask
people,
Ross. Ross doesn't know. Do you want to?
Ross doesn't
Ross?
know any question. Okay, so here's the original group of questions.
Oh boy.
Okay, but you just
What's
said
the line?
You
I was not
answered one of the
prepared for this.
questions.
I did, but it doesn't matter. I'm looking at his screen. It's not
I've
like
changed
I'll
one
add
of
a
them.
soundboard.
He's not googling the answers.
No.
No, but he heard you. You said the
But it
answer.
doesn't matter if he does. He either knows it or he doesn't. Whatever.
I don't think I was
It's okay.
paying.
Let's
Okay.
do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
So
Go
the
ahead,
4
you go
questions
first.
are: how many sides?
Wait! Before we do this, what's the line?
we got to set a line.
What's the line? So do you like?
I'm going to set the. Who's setting the line? You or me?
Okay, I'll set at 1.5. I'll give you
1.5. That's a good line. I'm going to take the under.
You're
1.5,
under 1.5.
yeah.
So Ross,
$20?
let's go. Hit
$20.
it. Hit it. $20.
How many sides in a hexagon?
6.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm on the board.
You got
I'm on the
3
board. I'm
questions to
ahead.
get one right.
That was probably the easiest. That's how I feel. I don't know, but
what is the chemical symbol for iron?
Oh boy.
I think we asked the question in reverse order.
But you've already said iron earlier, so
Are you?
that is incorrect.
What is there an
Do you
RU?
No, ruthenium. I don't know. Can you buzzer yourself on the soundboard? Do you have a
I don't
buzzer?
have one. I only
Yeah,
You need the
we're-
fail button.
Get that? Yeah, we need a. Yeah. How convenient. He doesn't have a
fail button. Okay, name the planets.
I don't know if I like your attitude.
Name the planets from closest to farthest.
from the sun outwards.
Sun
God,
out.
this is so embarrassing. I haven't thought about this stuff in so long.
Well, that's the point.
Do you have a start? Do you know the first one?
That's what I'm worried about. I don't
So he's got like a
turn
flip.
one
He's got a flip for the first one,
And then
and I'll tell you there are a bunch of other flips down the road that other people get wrong.
you got to get a lot of flips.
Yeah,
right
you gotta win like you got a Johnny Chen 1989
Greg
World
Raymer
Series style.
Yeah.
All right, take a stab. Take a stab. What do you think is first guy? Gut feeling. What's planet one?
Mercury.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the board.
Venus.
Yes,
Yes.
two.
Mars.
Incorrect.
Oh,
You were there. You were
really,
on your
you don't
way.
know what's between Venus and Mars?
Earth. Us.
That,
you.
that would be the one that
We're
you're
on
presently on.
Oh, okay.
For the
Yeah,
time
Mercury,
being, we're
Venus,
on it.
Earth.
Mars. Can
Mars,
you
Jupiter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Saturn.
tilted if he
Yeah.
gets the rest of them right, and he forgot fucking Earth. Yes. What's after Saturn?
What's after Saturn?
Uranus.
Yes.
Yes.
Technically,
only one more to go, right?
Well, you
is
can't
but
give him
does
the hint.
Pluto
Well,
not
he's
ex-
already got it.
Pluto
Pluto
doesn't
does-
count
yeah,
anymore.
Pluto doesn't count anymore.
What's this?
He already lost this one, so
Yeah.
by fucking forgetting Earth. I just want to see how tilted I'm supposed to be when he gets lost.
You forgot the one he's on.
Okay. The other
You know-
blue planet.
Yeah, Saturn.
Neptune.
Neptune.
So he was close.
That's correct.
The last question, I think
He's
you
got
have to-
no shot.
Well, the thing is, we originally was 2 out of 3. You only
Oh.
had to do 2 out of 3, and I think he's live.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
it's
he's
2
live
out
for
of 3.
2 out of
It's
3.
2 out of 3. It's not. He doesn't have to.
But we
hit all
can't
3.
change it now. We've never made a 2 out of 3.
It was when the original incarnation,
Okay, but-
and even with
but
like Gavin
since
Smith.
then-
No, but even with Gavin Smith, I promise you, it's been 2 out of 3, and we got some.
right.
I can't say them because that
Yeah,
biases
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's some
Okay.
atrociously bad answers.
Name 2 of the 3 Axis powers from World War II.
Japan, Germany, Italy.
Oh, he gets 3
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, all
just for
3.
the. And he's doing the victory lap.
There's a
around us,
victory
dude.
lap. That's
All right.
awesome.
Well, the best thing about this is when we
Why
did this.
did I think he was drawn dead? He either likes
Originally-
history, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, I guess. I guess the 3 doesn't
I
matter.
was
But we had a
World War
lot
II
of.
buff for a little bit.
You were. I mean, when we did this in the strip club. Okay, first of all, you get a
Nobody
lot,
gets Italy.
yeah,
Nobody.
you get a
gets
lot of
Italy.
you get a lot of Russias, and that's fair because
Yeah.
people are historically like
They-
used to
Cold
thinking of
War,
Russia as against
yeah.
the bad guys. But you had a lot of answers like, "Are those the bad guys?"
Yeah.
Or you got a lot of those. So, but like a lot of times, once they got Germany, they were kind of there was like Germany, Russia, and something else was like always
I don't
the sort
remember.
of
Yeah, it's been a
the,
while.
the sort of old thing. And then the yes, you're right. Nobody got Italy. If they got it, it was Germany and Japan. Otherwise, it was just like way out.
Russia.
It was
Russia
like
was the main
England
one.
and Russia, or
Yeah,
just
England, yeah.
You might as well just pick countries out of a bucket at that point. So I have fun with the stripper trivia. See how many of your friends you can get.
friends you can
Try it
set
at your
one.
local exotic adult establishment if you happen to
I
frequent
like
such.
that. I thought you guys were going to ask me questions about strippers.
Oh,
Or
Oh,
like,
that's a different trivia question. I don't know that many actual things that.
believe
I
me, the
know
line
about.
wouldn't have been 1.5 if we were asking questions about strippers.
Yeah, we could actually have the second week in a row. By the way, since you mentioned the rhino last week, maybe
Oh, yeah.
we should have some like
Stripper on the show?
trivia questions about strip clubs.
Let's see if we can
That's
get
But
sponsored
I'm not
by
an
the Rhino.
expert.
Oh my god, that'd be beautiful. We got like 50% free entry.
Yeah, that's it'd be bad probably. Okay,
You know it's not free. You know it's only free to get in.
yeah, the entry's not what you're worried about. By the way.
They have ATMs there for a reason.
Yeah, that charge $8 for
But the
every
strippers
transaction.
will be so impressed with our Pokercast
Oh yeah,
like title.
with
Yeah,
our
you know,
with
we
our
could-
little rhino patch.
Yeah.
Give them a T-shirt.
That'd be like one free lap dance from the oldest stripper.
The one with bruises. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give
Monday
you
morning.
middle names. This is another quiz we're going to do, and I want to
middle names of
middle
what?
names of poker players.
Oh,
Let's
geez. I'm drawing so dead.
let's phone MJ.
Okay.
Okay, that was fun last week. Let's
Okay.
phone MJ. We'll test him.
And if anybody nails like poker trivia, it's MD.
Okay, I'm going to give you 4 middle names, and you have to tell. And I'm going to give you 4 poker players, and you have to match.
Associate them. Okay.
You have to associate
Okay, that's
them.
at least as multiple choice. I won't
Yep,
be
you get some
completely-
guessing
All right.
involved. Okay, the middle names are Jerome,
Oh, it's Phil Ivey.
Dennis, Errol, and Richard. Okay, so Jerome,
It's Phil Ivey.
Phil Ivy's no, that's
Oh, it's
incorrect.
not?
Dennis.
What?
Dennis?
What?
Not Dennis Phillips, unless he's named Dennis.
I shouldn't be
Phillips.
telling you the answers.
Jerome was
You
Phil
need-
Ivy's
Fake name.
fake
Yeah,
name,
yeah. It
for
wasn't his
Atlantic
actual
City.
name.
Yeah.
Phil Dennis Ivy. Dennis.
Really?
No, I didn't know that either. At least that's what Wikipedia tells me.
Okay.
Um,
So what are my other choices? So who do I have? What middle names do I have now?
so you have Jerome,
Okay, so I have to identify Jerome,
Errol,
Errol,
and
Jeez, that's
Richard.
gonna be hard. Okay, Jerome,
and
Errol,
your
my choices.
choices are Unger, Sexton, and Helmuth.
Okay, I will go with Stuart Errol Unger. Is that?
Stuart Errol Unger is correct.
How about
That's
that?
correct.
How about that? So I have to figure out between Sexton and Helmuth which one is Jerome and
And which one is Richard?
Richard. Oh boy. Jerome. I mean, it's racist, but like Jerome, you always think of Jerome as black people, right? Like,
Do you?
Mhm.
No,
I don't know. I don't know them. How many white Jeromes do you know?
I don't know any.
Yeah.
Never heard
so
of one.
Is it Mike Jerome Sexton or Phil?
That would be
I'm gonna go Phil Jerome Helmuth.
Phil Jerome Helmuth.
Really? That's how about that? Philip J. Helmuth Esquire.
Oh my God.
How great is that?
And so Mr. Sexton
Is Richard.
Michael
Mike Richard Sexton. That makes
Michael
sense.
Richard Sexton. I
Yeah.
got that. Cool. Well, that's cool. So Philip J. Helmuth Esquire,
Yeah.
Mr. Man in the news this week as
Philip
we go down
Jerome
for
Helmuth
the
Jr.
World Series.
Yeah, we'll get
over
to some of
in
that.
down under.
We got a lot to talk about. That's the main topic of the week is the World Series of Poker APAC. We're going to get to that. Brandon
Otherwise known as
Shack-Harris.
bracelet hunting extraordinaire.
POI hunting and bracelet hunting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the turnouts haven't been huge. We'll get to some of that. Should we call MJ and see
why
what he's got? Let's do that. Well, before we do that, I know MJ and I were talking about this whole Doug Lee thing earlier in the week, so he's got a take on that.
So set up the Doug Lee thing.
Let's get his take. Doug Lee this week. Jimmy Fricke, Gobble Boy, comes into 2+2 and I believe into the toolbox, the famous Doug Lee toolbox thread in MVG,
which is
and
like the fifth longest running thread on 2+2.
It's just fantastic.
People just love them some beating up on Doug Lee.
He deserves
not,
it.
Not
You know what?
without
So
reason,
easy.
but it's almost like Gobble's post is number 4,441.
Wow.
In this thread, that's
amazing.
Like you could have like is God real thread that wouldn't go
If
on
you-
for that long on a Christian forum.
Totally.
Like,
If you would all care about poker and you need a laugh, a really good laugh at somebody's expense who thinks they're sort of semi-important and you want to laugh at them and you haven't read this thread, I guarantee you will love this thread.
I don't know, because I kind of feel like it's almost piling on at this point.
No, that maybe now he is Canadian, unfortunately. Maybe now, but I think at the beginning when we're talking about some of the stuff that went on,
Yeah.
and when he goes into Joe Hashem's house and he's friends with Hashem and he takes pictures of himself.
Oh, there's no doubt the guy
That is hilarious.
weirdly self-important
So that's what I'm
in
saying.
a totally undeserved way. And I agree, but I just think there's no way people should be spending 4,000 posts on this. Like,
So you think
Gobbles
it's
is
gone too
obviously
far?
yeah, it's absurd. Like, the guy doesn't fucking club puppies or like
No,
molest
no.
children or anything. Like, I mean, just like it's
No.
why are we like you don't have anything better with your life than to talk shit about like a guy who everybody doesn't like anyway? Like, I mean,
think it's just funny. People enjoy themselves with all kinds of Photoshops.
It's
and
just
stuff.
like the
It's a
know-it-all in
premise.
elementary school.
It's what it is it's a premise to have fun with something, and that's
Yeah.
what they've done. It isn't them going in and spending all their time whining about Doug Lee. It's about using the premise to make it funny, and that's I think what the thread is about. So if you want to laugh, laugh and you've never read the thread, head over to NVG. It's usually on the
That's
front page.
Adam's recommendation,
That's
not mine.
my recommendation.
The views of Adam Schwartz are not endorsed by his co-host on this one. But I think you can find better things to do with your time than to read the Doug Lee thread.
Yeah.
But that's me.
That's you.
But this is important. But the thing that Gobble posts is actually important. It's relevant, raises some discussion.
Yeah, so let's get to that.
Okay.
This week, there was a final table, I believe, at Planet Hollywood.
Yep.
It was I can't remember the size of the guarantee.
Yeah, it was a $500K guarantee.
$500K guarantee.
Yeah.
Big final table. Jimmy Fricke, Joe Tall's there, I believe.
Yep.
And Doug Lee is at this final table. Now, there's a hand come up where a unknown guy makes it, I think there's a raise. And this guy
there's an under the gun shove. There's an under the gun shove. I'm looking at it right now for 600,000. So it's 30,000, 60,000 under the gun shoves for 600,000. Mid position with a big stack calls. Doug says
from the small blind, I think.
Yeah, all from the big blind. All in for $2 million, and he says that really quickly. Gobbo says he's right next to him. He clearly only has to him about 1.35, 1.4 million. Gobbo being an experienced live player, I'm sure he can eyeball a stack pretty quickly. He says before I can say anything, the big stack says 2 million, and Doug says yes, and the big stack folds. So quick question, quick answer, quick response. Doug then wings with Ace King versus fives. Jimmy says something. They're shipping over the chips to Doug, and he calls him a fat internet loser, which is
Doug calls Jimmy after Jimmy brings up
about the angle
issue.
shot, the fact that he overrepresented his stack. Doug Lee, the other guy wants to know how much it is, and he quickly says 2 million, but Gobbo knows right away it's at most 1.4 million, so it looks like an angle from his point of view, and Doug Lee, he gets called out on this. Gobbo calls him out on this, and he says you're a fat internet loser,
which is ridiculous. So this is why I'm fine with people making fun of Doug Lee.
Yeah, I mean
that's completely uncalled for.
Absolutely.
And anybody who does stuff like
both
that,
the angle and the insult.
There's a lot of history of Doug doing angling and being a jerk.
Yeah.
So getting back to that other thing, I've got no problem. Anyway,
just not my day.
Yes, it's not your day, Doug Lee. So
never your day.
This brings up a few things. First of all, the personal attacks. There should be, and there was no penalty. Jimmy called the guy over. They explained the situation.
Do you think there should be a penalty? Like if you call somebody a fat loser?
Yeah,
do you think?
I absolutely think that's at least a 1-round penalty.
Okay.
If you're going to penalize somebody around for saying fuck when he loses a pot, and you turn to somebody and you're a dick.
First of all, that penalty is stupid. Like if you just drop an F-bomb and whatever, if it's not directed, like
they've changed it. Yeah,
we've always said that there's a big difference between fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah,
all those kind of
stuff.
And
very clearly this is fuck you.
Yeah,
when he says this,
it's a variant of fuck you. Fair enough.
So anyway, nothing happens to Doug.
No penalty for either the angle or the insult.
Right, which is completely wrong in my opinion for the insult. Now the angle. I don't know that you can ever prove that Doug didn't know he had 2 million.
Yeah, did it maliciously. I've miscounted my stack. I've people have asked me how much you have. But I don't know about 1.6, and I counted out. Oh, it looks like I only have 1.4. It happens.
Now, I'm inclined to believe that he did it on purpose. Knowing Doug,
just because of his history. Yeah,
I think he probably did it on purpose, but I don't think you can penalize it for it.
Right, because this isn't this isn't a story if it's not Doug Lee, right? Like if it was just some guy that you'd never heard of who just showed up, you never played with. There's no way this makes it on a 2+2 because it's whether or not he did it on purpose or not, it's just this guy angle shot me, and then it ceased to be a story.
But if somebody who's known in the poker community tells Jimmy that he's a fat internet loser, then I think it's going to be on.
That's also true. So it's definitely a combination of those two things, and it brings up the idea of this old debate has happened before. Like, should people be required to keep their stacks in 20s? Jimmy said that Doug did not have his stacks in 20s; he had them in 16s or 17s or whatever it is to make it look like you have more chips. Should people be required to do that? Should there be a penalty for misrepresenting your stack size? All this kind of stuff, and it's hard because to some extent we're reliant on the how much you got question, right? Because you don't want to slow the game down and say, like, you're within your right to say, dealer, I want to know exactly how much this guy has. Like, it is 1.735 million. That sucks because it slows the game down. So we just sort of have a gentleman's agreement, a pact, not to misrepresent what you have. Like, that's just it's an honor thing, right?
So that's here's the big problem with this situation. You just pointed it out. Yes, it can slow the game down, but when we have even the chance of something that's going to go on, I think it has to slow the game down. I think the guy has to say, and it's up to him, the guy who flatted the the open shove, he's got to be able to say, or he should be, instead of asking, Doug how much he has, his dealer counted out. I mean, this is a big moment in this final table. Somebody shoved, you flatted, and now one of the other players ships.
I'll add on to this actually. Like if I'm the guy in that spot and I'm thinking of calling, so I ask, I would ask Doug, okay, how much you're all in? How much is that? And he says $2 million, and I don't make my decision right away. I take a look at this and pause. The way that Jimmy describes his hand, this guy snap folded. Yeah. Okay, so you should never just snap fold based on what somebody says, right? So because the fact is, if you're an experienced player and you take a second and you look over that stack, there's a big difference between a 1.3 million stack and a 2 million stack.
There's no hand he should have that he snap folds.
That's exactly right, because it should be close. Because if you're asking, that's because it's close, right? So the stack size now becomes important, right? Now that's when you actually ask for a count, right? And if he had paused even for half a second, Jimmy would have, perked up and said, "Wait, that's not quite right." The whole point, the reason why this is a story is because the guy folds before Jimmy is even capable of saying anything, so it doesn't really matter because once you fold, of course you fold. So it's interesting.
I don't know what to say. I just think that people need to pay attention at the table and not trust what a
absolutely.
person. How it's up to the player who flatted to know how much those chips are. How he does it, that's up to him, but he needs to know it's his responsibility.
Right.
Doug obviously can be,
he's got a reputation.
But when people allow him to do it, then he's going to get away with it. You don't have to allow him to do that. You can take steps so that he's not able to.
Yeah, you protect yourself. You always protect yourself. You always, keep a chip on your cards. All this kind of day one poker stuff that only happens to you once, because then you learn.
Exactly.
All this kind of stuff.
So anyway,
you said MJ.
I was talking to MJ about it. So let's call him.
Okay. What's the line on him actually answering, as opposed to like his assistant or something?
Oh, 0.
He's not bringing up. Put him through.
Well, he has receptionist for a reason.
Oh, okay. Well, Mr. Big Shot there.
Good afternoon, London Ice Center. This is Mike.
He cut you off. He was like, "Oh, there's no way it answered." Adam's basically wrong about everything on the show this week.
Could I ever get anything right on the show? Terrence just said, "What's the line on MJ answering the phone?" I said 0. His receptionist, the man has.
He was basically giving me infinite odds, basically something close.
MJ, how are you?
I'm doing well. You got to understand, it's 2014, and there is this thing called call display. And when the line flashes, you can see it says Mason's house on call display. So.
You missed out on a bunch of comedy. I was going to pretend to be Yuri Gooley and confuse the heck out of D, the receptionist there.
No. Yuri Gooley's on the line, looking to book a procedure.
Indeed. We were just talking about the whole Doug Lee thing. We're doing MJ's take. We're bum rushing you at the office to get your take on it. I know you followed that story a little bit. Terrence and I were both chatting about it. What's your take on the whole Jimmy Fricky and Doug Lee incident this week, sir?
I saw a little bit about it. First of all, I've been out of the poker biz for a few short months. It hasn't been that long. When did they start holding large enough poker tournaments for professionals to be showing up at Planet Hollywood? Is this a first time of some kind? I've never heard of Planet Hollywood being the location for anything tournament poker related outside of a daily $40 tournament. So that was newsworthy in its own right that Planet Hollywood's on the poker landscape now, but certainly enough that it would draw such superstars as Doug Lee and Jimmy Fricky to the event. But it's kind of interesting. Any of these things involving Doug Lee, it's hard to have a take on it simply because deep down Doug really either is completely oblivious to what the poker community thinks of him when he does these type of things. I mean, I think there's enough I guess evidence to officially declare this guy a serial angle shooter, a notorious angle shooter.
Indeed.
And clearly he doesn't care, or clearly he's so oblivious to it that there's no point in really chastising him anymore because he's not going to do a damn thing about it.
Yeah, and it's up to anybody who knows to play it or is playing at the table, and not just with Doug, but with anybody who's at the, whenever you're trying to find out a stack, to me, you're a tournament guy. You can't just take what the guy says. You're having a big, huge decision at the final table. There's a shove, a flat, and a reshove. I mean, this is a fairly significant hand.
If there's any doubt at all about,
find out how many chips the guy
exactly.
has.
You got to ask for a count. Yeah.
Well, he's already in. If I've got the numbers correct, he's already in for $600K. He flats in middle position and then gets shoved on over the top.
Yeah.
Even if it is $2 million, it's enough that you're not going to snap fold, although it sounds like the guy kind of did. Yeah. It's a small enough amount that you would definitely want to account to see for sure where he's at. I found it absolutely shocking that he wouldn't get a countdown, not just because it was Doug Lee, but also because of the situation. Whether he had 1.3, 1.5, or 2 million, that's still only another 1 or 2 times what the guy's already committed to the pot anyway. So it would seem based on the poker numbers, he would want to count regardless of the Doug Lee factor.
There's actually the third guy in that. So the first guy was all in for $600,000. Then Doug moves all in for what he claims is $2 million, and then another stack, who I believe has Doug covered, is actually thinking about cold calling all of it. So it wasn't the guy who made it $600,000, because the guy who made it $600,000 was all in.
Oh, he was all in, but apparently the guy I thought he got called by the big stack in middle position, and then Doug announced all in. I'm all in for $2 million, and the guy that had already flatted the original all in small stack,
I see what you're saying,
folded his $6,000. So Doug not only got to run the board out heads up, he also got an additional $600,000 in dead money.
Yeah, you're right.
How does that guy have? My thing in the whole thing was, how does that guy have a hand he can snap fold? I don't understand.
That's the thing, is how is he folding right away? Whether it's 1.3, 1.5, or 2. It's only 1 or 2 times what you've already committed to the pot. Plus, you got $600K in dead money from the all-in short stack. It's looking to me like he's got to think this through a little bit harder, anyway. So I mean, Gobble Boy obviously looked at it from the angle situation, but I think the guy who folded is a lot at fault here in the hand in terms of how it all played out.
Yeah.
It was pretty surprising for sure. As a results-oriented man, as you know I am, the one thing the story never did convey was what the guy folded and how the board ran out, and whether he would have ended up winning the hand if he had called or not. I know that's not the crux of the story, but I would have been very interested to see how the hand would have actually ended up playing out had the guy actually called him.
Ace Jack. I'm going with Ace Jack. That's
it's got to be the hand, right?
It's Ace Jack.
Ace Jack off.
You got to call the 600 from an all in, but you're not going to call the reshove from somebody who can hurt you.
Yeah, it seems
why
like
not?
The only hand.
Yeah.
So
it could be. It was interesting. So you were looking this week for the most annoying main event performers in World Series of Poker TV history. How many did you guys end up coming up with?
We what it was for a writer that I'm in a Skype group for. We didn't mention it on the show. He asked.
Oh, okay.
He asked,
it was a Twitter thing that I was following this week, and you were trying to get people to come up with some ideas.
Yeah, it was a thing where he was writing an article on the 10 most annoying World Series of Poker ESPN participants. And he got all 10, and I'll link the article in the show thread. But you brought up a great one. I think, you know what, he had his list, actually, the 10, and then you tweeted Tiffany Michelle, and we'd all forgotten Tiffany Michelle. And I think he changed his story to add Tiffany, and because of
How
your
could
tweet.
you forget about the French fries?
I don't know. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, the one other ones, the couple that I didn't name, I don't know if he annoyed other people as much as me, was Jay Farber at the November 9 last year.
Yeah.
And then a November 9er from about 4 years back, an Italian kid named Filippo Candio. Did he get any votes?
Yeah.
I don't think he got not a
very
vote.
exuberant celebrator, Felipe Candio.
Yeah, before the final table. I think he toned it down.
Does Helmuth make the list? Because his performances...
Well, he's my number one.
He didn't
awful. Make the list.
He's terrible to people, on
Eric
podcasts.
Molina, I think, is pretty much number one, the douchebag of all time.
He was good. And any Brazilian who wears the flag around their neck at the TV table gets a vote as well.
You're so
more than any, they're the only... I guess I might have seen an Australian flag once, but I believe I've seen about 8 Brazilian flags on main event event TV tables.
Yeah.
It just seems like there's one sitting there on the set, ready to go. If anybody's Brazilian, here's the flag to wrap around your neck.
I thought Brian Roberts was really out of line on this week's one. I don't know if you saw that, MJ, but he was like, he got asked about what it was like, cashing the main event. And he was, getting all hot and like saying, I'd rather stone bubble than min cash because it's cool. I thought that was a really douchey thing to say. Like, yeah, Brian Roberts, he's been around a while, he's played high stakes, but you don't have to remind the world that you're a high stakes player and that this isn't a big deal to you. I feel like that's just unnecessary.
I know what you're saying, but I think what he meant was, and I could be wrong, I read it as he wants to stone bubble because he gets the entry for next year for the 10,000.
No, but why would you want 10,000 when he's already guaranteed like 30K at that point anyway? That doesn't
I
make
think he said
sense.
stone bubble versus min cash.
Yeah, no. Yeah, okay. Stone Bubble, but yeah, even the min cash is worth more anyway. Yeah. I just thought it was a really douchey thing to say because for a lot of people, and we make as pros we make fun of these people, and they're really goddamn excited to make the money in the main event. You see it every year. Like 5 guys at every table are stoked, and you should be trying to play for the November 9. You should be trying to amass chip, but it's kind of douchey to say, I've been here and done that before. I don't care. I'm a seasoned pro. It rubbed me the wrong way.
There are people whose bucket list says dinner break on it.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
No question. MJ, we're doing quiz week. We're gonna ask you. We got a quiz, 4 questions. Are you ready to go?
MJ's gonna crush it.
You're asking me a quiz right now? Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, okay, we got it's poker player middle names. That's the quiz. I'm going to give you 4 poker players and 4 middle names. And you got to match them up. That could.
And these are all legit.
These are all legit. Wikipedia says they're legit. So I'm just going to go ahead and trust that they're right. The 4 poker players are, and get a pen because hopefully this will make good radio and not bad radio. Phil Hellmuth, Phil Ivey, Stu Unger, and Mike Sexton.
Okay.
And the names are Dennis, Errol, Jerome, and Richard.
Jerome and Richard. Well, let's just stop and appreciate how great a name Errol is.
I think we've all, everybody we've asked loved the Errol.
Yes. I got to keep that one tucked away. Now, I mean,
if you ever have
the one that jumps out at me right away, of course, is Phil, Jerome, Ivey.
Okay, so you've got Ivey as Jerome. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
You got Dennis, Errol, and Richard.
I so want Phil Hellmuth's middle name to be Errol. I want it so bad, but
you want it to be Richard.
What's that? It is yeah, okay.
No,
it's Richard. So then I'm guessing.
No, I didn't say it was Richard. I'm saying.
You didn't. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I see. For Dick. Now I get it.
There you go.
I'm off my game. Sorry, Phil Dick Hellmuth. Yes. I'll go with that. I'll go with Phil Dick Hellmuth.
Okay.
And Mike Errol Sexton. And Stu Dennis Unger.
Congratulations, you got
0. Brick. Everything. 0 for 4. That's shocking.
Over.
Well, hold on. Jerome is not Phil Ivey's middle name?
It's his nickname.
Hellmuth.
Really?
Phil Dennis Ivey. Dennis is such a great name for Phil Ivey. I really think we should just start calling him Dennis Ivey from now on.
Sure.
Stu Errol Unger and Mike Richard Sexton.
Okay.
Ofer.
Mike Sexton is the dick, as it turns out.
Now, what possibly made you think I would run the board on
I don't know.
Quiz?
You know all this kind of obscure stuff,
you're
MJ.
MJ trivia guy.
Exactly. You know everything about everything.
I don't know either of your middle names.
You know
Adam's.
You know my middle name.
Oh, yeah, your
mine, but mine's a
yeah,
foreign language, so you're gonna have trouble with that one.
Yeah.
So, even if I told you, you wouldn't pronounce it correctly based on historical evidence.
Right.
So.
Ouch! Oh, I noticed. By the way, you had the November 9er on a few weeks ago. I leave the show.
Yeah.
And rather than attempting to pronounce international names. You just completely changed the fucking guy's name to Billy Pappas.
Absolutely. That's how you do
William
it.
Papa
This
Constantino.
is your solution?
Yeah, that was it. I didn't want anybody to be able to point to me and laugh at all the fun I pointed at you, so I just called him Billy. He's calling himself Billy Pappas.
I don't want to pronounce that, so I'm changing it. That's a good policy.
You would have loved to do that interview because you're a foosball guy. He's the world champ.
Yes. Oh, I would have. I heard he challenged you to play both of you with only his goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
Blindfolded.
So, and you could
with his
probably
left
do the
hand.
same thing, I think. Yes, good fun.
Many blocks of misspent university at the foosball.
That's right. That is MJ's take this week. MJ, you're going to join us. For those that missed last week's show, you're going to come in and do a show during the November 9. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be fun to order up a pizza and have some fun with you again, sir.
Yeah, you, me, and Billy Pappas.
There we go. Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
That is Michael Johnson. Coming up after the break, we got quiz week. We're going to have some fun. We don't have a single guest, but we have many that we're going to have a little bit of fun with, or a couple, to get some quizzes and see how that goes. More from the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club right after this.
Hey, it's PokerStars Team Online Pro Randy Liu. Don't forget you can play on the move with the PokerStars mobile app directly on your iPhone, iPad, or Android device. Hope you're enjoying the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Hi guys, it's Mike from ProfessionalPoker.com and the 2+2 store with some great news for our PokerStars players. You can now use your frequent player points to purchase gift cards available from ProfessionalPoker.com. These same cards will also work at the 2+2 store. The gift cards come in increments of $25 and $50, and you can apply multiple gift cards per order. Now you can get the books, videos, and ebooks from all the major publishers using just your FPPs. So check out the gift card section of the PokerStars FPP store and pick up the poker training material you've had your eye on for a while at the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com.
Attention everyone not named Alan Kessler. Have someone you would love to appear on the PokerCast? Have someone you don't want to hear again on the PokerCast? Head on over to the Suggest a Guest thread in the PokerCast forum at 2plus2.com, and Adam will do his best to make you happy. P.S. Chainsaw, you can post too.
These days I seen my best. Need be lay me to rest. Smoke, drink, relieve my stress. Hard times, they got the best of me, I guess. These days I seen my best. Need be lay me to rest. Smoke, drink, relieve my stress. Hard times, they got the best of me, I guess. These days I seen my best. Need be lay me.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. This is the interview segment of the show, T, where we usually bother somebody in the poker world and ask them dumb questions. This week we were going to have Jort Van Hoof, the chip leader of the World Series of Poker main event, the Cleaner 11 online. He's at the EPT London. So it was.
So he's got better things to do than fucking talk to a bunch of Canadians about poker. He's prepping. Poker. He's got money to win, and a slightly large poker tournament to
concentrate on. Yeah. So we're going to try and continue to get him before the World Series of Poker final table coming up in November. I think it's like 24 to it's 3 weeks away. It's not far.
Yep.
We're not too far from that. I'd love to get down there for that, but I don't think that's going to be possible. So we thought
you're going to be. We need to, before you do that.
Yeah.
You need to book your goddamn flight to Macau.
I do have to book my
because
flight.
I'm going and I'm booked for the end of the month. So
unless you want to do the show by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing that. So get on flight. You know you're going to have fun if you go there.
I am.
You're going to spend like way too much time in the spa. The famous 6 floors of at the Grand Waldo Spa, where basically like floor 3 is like the Thai massage floor, and floor 4 is like the pedicure floor. And
the Costco-sized room full of Barco loungers.
Yes, exactly. You want to do it, and we're gonna bring Ross along. And
could we do the show from the Grand Waldo Spa?
I don't know if they're in there. It probably is by now.
That's possible.
I'd like to think so.
That would be awesome if we could do the spa where we're all having our ears cleaned, feet massaged, and hand massaged.
Yeah.
And record at the same time.
The facial part might be hard. You might not be able to get that facial.
Because you need the headset. You got the headset on.
On.
So for those that don't know, the Grand Waldo Spa in Macau is an amazing
It was the original
place.
Host of the APBT way back in the first season of the APBT, and it's now held at the City of Dreams. But back then it was held at this casino called the Grand Waldo, and it's actually probably good that they no longer are there because it's really far away from everything.
Is, yeah.
City of Dreams is much closer, but it does have as a feature this tremendous, like you said, it's like the size of a Costco, and it's basically a spa. Like, I mean, on the ground floor, you've got your hot tubs, you got your steam rooms, you've got you get your haircut. Remember, Bunner got his haircut there. You go,
and food is involved.
You go up one floor, there's a restaurant. The food is all free.
Buffet, yeah.
You go up another floor after that. It's like you said, lazy boys of you can get your feet done and your nails done and your hair done
all at the same time. I managed to get
watching TV while you do that, and there's internet in there. People were grinding. People were playing. I believe it was W Coops back then, and the W Coops are starting at 2:30 a.m. in local time.
Right.
But people were basically just sleeping there, and they had no concept of what time it was anyway. Like, they were actually they were actually scheduling it so that they could grind while playing these loungers, getting foot massages, and drinking watermelon juice.
I remember asking.
Poker's nice. I love playing poker.
Chow. That was Chow. Everybody was Chow
in the spa.
Chow's been in that spa, I'm sure. I remember being in there, and you and I were, marveling at how fantastic the spa was, and if we were ever actually going to leave this place.
Yeah.
And I remember asking how much a hour Thai massage was. The Thai massage, of course, is the physical, the stretching,
an 85-pound girl, stepping on your back
and doing all the kind of making your back feel good. And it was $11 for an hour.
Yeah.
And I'd made the mistake, and I look.
You're
going to
book like
laughing.
3 back to back.
I booked 2 hours back to back, and this isn't a normal massage. Yeah. You don't go in.
It's physical.
You come out feeling better.
This isn't the Swedish massage where you're lightly brushing over your hair,
right? And
that.
Massaging your temples. No, this is full contact massage.
Yeah.
And I remember after the 2 hours being completely in pain, and thinking, why did I just do that? That was not very smart.
It was good, but it was painful.
It hurt a lot.
It's a lot like when it's the same kind of concept as when you eat food that's like a little bit too spicy for you, and you're like, this is great, oh, but it's awful, oh, but it's great, oh, but it's awful.
It hurts just a little too much.
These are first world problems.
These are many first world problems. But you can also, like we were mentioning, get foot massages in the Barcalanger, etc. And there's a deal there where you can actually go to Macau and not book a hotel room.
Right, because you can sleep in those things.
You can sleep in these things.
It's not a comfortable bed they hook you up with, but you can actually sleep.
It's $20 to get in, or
and they charge by the 24 hours. So like you only charge a 24-hour. Everything's on one of those those bracelets that you scan like when you're on a cruise. So you never have to like whip out your wallet. In fact, you don't even have access to a wallet most of the time. You just lock it up. And you just charge everything to your bracelet. You want a watermelon juice? Charge it to your bracelet. You want a massage? Charge it to your bracelet. You want whatever. They got video games in there. Do that too.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I love that place.
Make it happen.
That's the big. That's the.
I'm going with or without you. I don't
You're
give
going
a shit
anyway.
what you're doing.
Okay, so that's got to be booked for sure. Let's do some more of that stripper trivia though. Let's just call friends of the show.
Yes.
That we don't think have been exposed to the questions that are these stripper trivia questions.
Let's hope so. We might be sandbagging
and
us,
have fun.
But let's take them on the honor system.
Yeah.
Who do we got up?
Shaun Deeb.
Okay.
Let's call.
I shouldn't laugh.
Team Waffle Crush and see. I'm going to set the line at Shaun. Now, Shaun, look, admittedly, probably hasn't spent a lot of time studying the table of the elements. I'm not going to insult him too much when I say that I'm going to set the over line.
I don't expect him to say England for the Axis powers. I don't think he's
no. But he might say Russia.
Whether he might say Russia, he'll probably get Germany.
I think he'll get Germany.
Is he going to knock out one of the Italy or the Japan?
Italy's like 50-1.
Okay,
that he gets.
I'll give you 50-1 on Italy. I'll take 50-1 on Italy.
So I'm going to set the over under for Shaun because it's my turn. You set the over under for Ross. I'm going to set it at a half.
Not a lot of faith out there.
Actually, no. Wait. I think he'll get hexagon. I honestly think he'll get a hexagon. I'm going to set it at 1.
Oh, you could set it at 1. Oh, that's no fun because
you have 0. You get 0 or 2.
Yeah, that's not fun. Okay, I guess I'll take the under, which makes me feel like an asshole because I basically need him to go zip.
Yeah,
but I feel like I feel like 2 is just tough.
Okay, you got.
Under it is. I'm gonna feel such.
I'm stuck $20 already.
Shaun's gonna punch me in the face. All right, let's dial him up.
All right. I gotta get his number here.
All right, we're doing this live.
Phone. We're gonna do it live.
We're doing it live.
I've got my button ready.
We're prepared. It's on the draw. Do you have a ding?
What about we're going to do it live, no, Bill Riley? He forgot.
You're just assuming Shaun's not going to get any.
I was going to stick with Patrick Antonius.
That's correct.
All right.
This is us calling Mr. Shaun Deeb. Is this
Hello?
good? Shaun!
What's happening?
Yeah,
This is what?
show scheduling.
What's that?
I said this is an early phone call.
This is an early phone call. We do the show early now. We don't.
Yeah.
We do it during the day now that we lost that guy with the day job, and we got a fellow poker player, Terrence, in here who's freed during the day.
Yeah.
Who's your co-host? Sorry, I didn't hear the name.
It's Terrence. Terrence
Oh, hey,
Chan's
Terrence.
here. How's it going, man? And we know you're a family man too, so we know you're also one of those boring people that is around during the day. So we figure it all works out.
I'm actually on a road trip back from New York City. It's an exciting day.
Nice. Terrence mentioned the family man. How's fatherhood treating you? Your child is how old now?
He's 5.5 months. He's got his 2 bottom teeth already in. Looks like one of his top teeth are coming in. So he's had a rough day today, but he currently put himself to sleep by screaming for the last hour.
Not only that, he's down 40 points. Not only that, he's got the teething and he's down 40 points.
If you saw how much this kid grabs for the iPad or phone, he just loves OPs. I tweeted a picture, and it's just perfect. Like, he just is always trying to move around cards. Like, I swear he knows what's going on already.
Have you managed to gamble on anything like teeth or coming in? Like, have you set lines on it? What's anything there?
I almost took 60-40 betting on him to be a boy, because the other person just figured I was probably going to get what I wanted, but we ended up wanting the same size, so I wasn't able to get it.
That's great. I love it. All right, so we're going to get right to this. Shaun, you're on a road trip. I don't want to keep you too long. We're playing stripper trivia today. I don't know if you've been exposed to that. I don't think you have. Terrence and
I feel like it's one of the first episodes we did.
Oh, you did it already?
Something like that, where there was the 5 questions, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not do the stripper trivia with them. Let's do the poker middle names.
Okay. Let's do
so
poker
if
middle
you've been
name.
exposed to that one, we'll pass on that one, but we're going to do...
So there are 4 of those, right? Okay, go ahead and set a line on how many of the overs on that
so
one.
there's
I got to get a
4.
look at them.
He's going to get... it's 2.
So you're
no.
1.5
is the line. 1.5.
Okay, I'll bet the over on 1.5. I think he might have enough inside information to know one of them, and then he might just get like
middle name.
Yeah, so we're going to give you middle names, and it's multiple choice. You have to associate the middle name with the poker player that you know, of course.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
So here we go.
Fun.
The middle names are so I'll read the middle names and the poker players, and you have to match them. The middle names are Jerome, Dennis, Errol.
Okay, Jerome is Ivy.
Hang on. Jerome, Dennis, Errol, and Richard.
Okay.
So the poker players are Phil Hellmuth, Phil Ivey, Stu Unger, and Mike Sexton. So which one of those
I should know Helmy because we're so close. I feel like. All right. What were the middle names? Okay.
The middle names are
Ivy. We know that.
Okay, so you're going Jerome for Ivy. Okay. The other ones are Dennis, Errol, and Richard.
Harold or Errol?
Errol. Errol. Errol.
Wow. That's got to be Stu because it's just such an old name that that makes sense.
Errol. You've got Errol as Stu. Okay. So now you've got Dennis and Richard.
Philip. Dennis Helmy doesn't make sense. Philip. Richard.
Fantastic.
I can't believe it. I thought for sure. I knew that Helmy was going to be there, and I was like, I'm trying to visualize how he signs his name. So it does.
And you know the man loves signing his name.
My wife just chimed in a great one that if Phil's middle name was Richard, everyone would call him Dick. I'm going to go with not being Richard.
This is some great logic here.
Oh my God, you married very well. That's all I'm going to say. So you're going to say that Richard is that Helmuth is Dennis?
Yeah, Dennis.
Okay, and Mike is Richard. All right.
Go ahead and read the names.
The actual real names are Phil Jerome Helmuth.
Phil Jerome Helmuth?
That is, I was shocked too.
Dennis Ivey, of all names. Dennis. Stu Errol Unger and Mike Richard Sexton.
So
you got
one.
2.
Yeah.
I got 2. I thought for sure they know home Jerome. That's such a cheap. Like
yeah, apparently the Jerome was a fake name.
Ivy. I revoked Jay Held, but I was like, Jerome with Ivy was just out of my head right away.
I did the same thing, Sean. Don't worry about it. They did. Adam got me with the same dirty trick.
It was a trick question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. By the way, this is what according to Wikipedia. So
we can edit it to be anything right now. I'm editing it to be Jerome now.
If you want to text Helmuth and ask him if his real name is Jerome, you can send me a text and let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still busy in Australia, so he's probably asleep right now. But yeah, that's crazy.
Nuts.
I can't believe I got the two that I think Stu Unger is easy just by process elimination. Like no one else is gonna have that as their middle name. But.
Right. And yeah. Good. And Richard is not Helmuth because everybody would call him Dick.
That's great logic. That is brilliant. Yeah, that's a good read.
So you're on a road trip, Sean. What's up in the poker life as well of Shaun Deeb these days?
Just playing a little open face. Trying to go to. I'm going to be in Jacksonville for their bounty event beginning of November, and then flying from there to Rivers Casino for another Poker Night in America event. So I mean that's kind of the tours I kind of end up going to. Really travel a lot less, did a little W-Coop, but just trying to stay at home when I can.
I want to ask you an open face question. You got a second?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Open face pineapple. I've been playing a lot lately, nonstop. In fact, I wanted to make an admission on the show. I'm playing open face Chinese while I drive.
That is really fucking bad.
First off, I used to, I told the stories about playing online poker while driving.
Yeah.
Open face is so much more attention drawing.
I know.
My wife yelled at me when we were in traffic leaving New York City. So I was playing open face at red lights. Like, it's bad.
Yeah.
But I also have to chime in that I hope you're switching to the new app that's out.
I haven't yet. Maybe you can tell me which app. What's the new one? I'm still on that old ABC poker. It drives me nuts, this app.
Yeah, ABC is, unfortunately, I just think a very poorly run app. Google just doesn't do a good job maintaining it. But there's a new one. It's Pineapple Gaming. But you need a referral code right now. But if you get a hold of me, I can give you a referral code. And some people tweet at me. I'll give out some referral codes and get some people on it. I think it's really cool. And I think they allow three-handed play. They have 2 on the button coming within the week. And I just think a lot cleaner app. And I really enjoy the features it has. Chat and a bunch of other things that it's crazy that ABC doesn't have yet.
Yeah, no, that's and ABC crashed a lot. But back to driving and playing open face. I'm now, I'm one of those guys who drives around a million miles an hour trying to get everybody to make good time, like George and Seinfeld. I've got to make good time.
Yeah.
I got to get there.
You are the worst.
But now I cheer for red light. Oh, red light! I can play like 5 hands of Chinese, but I also don't stop when I start
the cars
going.
Behind you have to hate you.
Oh, they hate me.
You're always going to be getting honked at.
Yeah, I do get honked at a lot. Yeah, get going. So,
what is the line on the first open face related fatality?
That's coming soon.
Yeah.
I think there's a decent chance if I die.
There's going to be the forensics and the app's going to be open. The cop's going to find it, and the only question is it going to be ABC or is it going to be Pineapple Gaming's app?
Right. All right.
The new UIGEA will be no more open face.
Exactly.
Don't play open face and drive.
Yeah, Sheldon Adelson's already got
implement public commercials.
Sheldon's already got his hitman on the commercial.
All right, Jack, here's your 5 starting cards. Jack, 9 of spades, 2 red 4s, and a red king.
Man. I've switched back and forth a lot on this one. I've switched back to the pair. 4s, Jack kicker, 9 in the middle, king top. I understand why people want to do the Jack 9 suited 4s, king. But I'm not a fan. If you switch the king to an ace, I like it a little more. But in general, I just think I like putting that pair in the back without information of your suit. And the Jack 9, you lose some of your straight outs by putting a king or a queen back there. It's not as clean as you think. If you have like 8-9 suited, I think, and deuces, I make more of a justification for 8-9 suited in the back.
Okay, so Jack 4-4, 9 in the middle, king in the top. All right, good to know. I've been making the mistake lately. I've changed. I used to be.
Oh, I think that's one of those hands that I have plenty of opponents who play. I have my opponents probably are directly down the line 50-50 playing it Jack 9 suited or a pair of 4s. Like it is. I really can't imagine there's a big difference between the two. I just think it's kind of how you play your game. If you're going to be smart enough to be aggressive or when to pair, when to go for the gut shot. I just think a lot of people get married to those 3 flushes or some and don't abort early enough, where I think they lose equity. So it's just taking a pair and getting 2-pair kings.
Fair enough. So you're staying around the house. Not a lot of traveling for poker. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. I just came from a casino night in New York City with Tiger Global, which is a great hedge fund, who had me, Phil Locke, Jennifer Tilley, David Williams, Doc Sands, and Vanessa Phelps out. So it was a great event, one of the nicest functions I've ever been to. And so we all had a great time drinking, partying. And so that's kind of where I go to now and then.
So you're just a traveling poker celebrity. None of this real life poker anymore.
I mean, yeah, why not? why play poker if you don't have to?
That's right. All right, Shaun, thanks so much. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
So that's Shaun. He got 2 out of 4. He's been exposed to the stripper trivia, so we couldn't ask him that.
And I'm up 40 on you.
You're up 4. Yeah, I'm going to have to how about double or nothing on Barry Greenstein? Let's call Barry.
Okay.
Let's call Barry.
Here we come with the props.
Here we come with the props.
All right.
Let's call Barry. We're going to...
Okay, I think that's fine. It's on me, so you're on the button, so you have an edge, but that's all right. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
You're going to be out of position for this
I'll give it to you.
Can I bet? I can bet double?
Double or nothing. So you're up,
double or nothing.
I'm up 40, so it's going to be 80
or nothing. That seems like a bad deal for me. I don't know why I'm doing this. I lose every
you have
goddamn prop bet.
You have position. I'm the one who's to set the line.
I'm so bad at these.
I'm the one who's to set the line.
You do have to set the line. How do I just constantly get worse?
All right, just call him.
All right. Let's call Barry.
All right.
I'm humming so people can't hear the sequence.
If you get I was just
numbers.
thinking whether you can reverse engineer
the
numbers Barry Greenstein, but if you want to prank Barry Greenstein based on a bunch of random dial tones, then
all right,
get a life.
Patch him through. Here we go. The inner workings of the studio.
It's on.
We are calling.
Will we get Barry Greenstein?
Dun, 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 dun. Will he answer his phone? I think so.
He doesn't. He might not recognize a studio number though, because you're not calling.
Yeah,
from your own phone.
That's true.
We might get the voicemail.
Oh, we will get the voicemail.
Will the voicemail be in Vietnamese, by the way?
I don't. Sometimes he doesn't answer his phone.
Hi, this is Barry. If you leave me a message, I might not hear it, so it's probably better to send me a text message.
Well, we can't do that, Barry. We're a radio show. We can't text
we're texting
you.
on the air. All right,
yeah,
let's text. Right. This is good radio. Texting on the air.
Okay, we'll try him again in a little bit.
Phone cops. The phone cops.
Yeah, we'll try Barry again shortly, and but I think I'm looking forward to it because the man is.
Oh, do you have a line?
I do have a line.
Let's set the line. Let's do
all
that
right,
part.
It's 2.5. I think he's an educated guy.
You're setting it 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I'm going to take the over. I'm happily going to take the over.
There.
He gets hexagon for sure. He gets iron for sure. Planets, he's got to be like 50-50. Axis powers, I think he gets.
There's no way he's 50. I'll give you an extra side bet on even
money on that.
Planets, yeah.
No, I think that doesn't sound right.
All I have to do is act strong. This is you're so easy. All I have to do is even just act
better than
strong.
Making a bad bet. I'm backing down. All right, that's the dial tone, and he is chubby fingers.
Yeah,
this is good radio right here.
Make noise.
It's not true.
Okay, patch
That's impossible.
Let's see if this works. There we go. Let's try this time.
Hello.
Mr. Barry Greenstein, this is the 2+2 Pokercast calling. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine.
You are live on the air. Well, not live recorded on the air. We do things differently now that MJ character has left. We're
call off people. The cuff. We make shit up as we go.
Terrence
along.
and I are in here. We just call people randomly to see how they're doing. Barry, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing fine.
Fantastic. We're having a little bit of trivia contest today. We're going to ask you some questions. We've wagered on how many of these 4 general knowledge questions you're going to get right. Are you up for it?
Sure.
Okay, so Terrence Chan is my co-host in studio. We have, should we tell him the number? There's 4 general knowledge questions, Barry. The line that Terrence set was 2.5, and I pounded the over. I'm all in on the over 2.5. So I'm on your side. I'm on your side. Question number 1: how many sides in a hexagon?
6.
That's correct.
That's correct. Patrick says that's correct. What element? What element has the chemical symbol Fe?
I'm trying to think if it's selenium or not. Fe or Fe?
Fe. F as in Frank.
Fe is iron, obviously.
Iron, yes.
That's correct.
I'm starting to get in trouble here.
I thought you said Fe.
Oh, okay.
Fe. I'm in a little bit of trouble.
Canadian accent coming through there. Okay.
I'd like to buy out now.
You'd like to buy out? No, there's no buying out. The next question: name the planets from the closest to the farthest.
Closest to the sun.
Hold on. Let me see if I get anything on this hand. Playing triple draw. Okay. Well, closest is I guess Mercury. Then I guess trying to make sure it's Venus.
Yep.
Let me go. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Jupiter, Saturn. No. Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto's no longer a planet like it was when I was a kid.
That is incorrect. Uranus comes before Neptune. You're so close. Yeah. Bubbled the last one.
Damn it.
Oh, I'm still live.
Barry.
Okay.
You were so close.
I think he's got this one coming, though.
The guy next to me said Neptune.
I think I'm still in trouble, but I'm a little more live right now. I've got a bit of a sweat.
The guy next to you said what?
The guy next to me said Neptune when I was about to answer Uranus.
I got some outside help. I got pass interference.
Yeah, I know it's Neptune. I know Neptune and Pluto actually intertwine in their orbits, and sometimes Pluto is actually closer.
That is absolutely correct.
But sometimes when you're in the middle of a poker hand and someone says something, you repeat it.
Can you grab $80 from that person's stack and put it in your pocket for me? He owes that to me now for screwing you up.
Yeah. Here's my witness. You can hear. It's all my fault. Whatever happened, it's my fault. Sorry, hold on.
All right. Let's see if you can do this last one.
I know the order of the planet.
Let's see if we can do this last one.
Sometimes you're in the middle of a poker hand, you hear someone say something.
Do we know?
Anyway, go ahead.
Do we know who that was?
Is he playing live poker?
Here, what's your name? He's a known player.
I'm not on. Larry Bird. Who's this?
Hey, Larry, this is the 2+2 Pokercast. We're just having some fun with Barry today.
All right,
thanks.
Okay, final question. This is for all the marbles. No outside interference.
Are you ready for
the
final question? Don't say it out loud because these jackasses are going to give you the wrong answer again.
Or maybe.
Name the 3 axis powers.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, what's the last question?
Okay. Actually, sorry. Name 2 of the 3 axis powers from World War II.
Okay. I assume the axis was. Trying to think. The axis, I assume, was us. So, 2 of the 3 axis powers.
Name 2 of the 3 axis powers from World War II.
Yeah. Let me think.
Meanwhile, he's got like a wheel.
Meanwhile, he's drawing 3 to the 7-6.
Okay. The axis. Well, I'm gonna say the United States and Britain.
That is unfortunately not correct. The Axis were the other guys.
The bad guys.
All right, can you name
the other side? The Italians and the Germans.
Yeah, the Italians,
and
Germans,
the
Japanese. You had it. You just got the wrong one.
How bad of a beat was that?
What a sick fade! I'm so happy. Like he knocked out the first 2.
He gets the
then
first
he got
2.
screwed up. He got screwed up by his buddy on the 3rd one, and then he just gets a coin flip.
And then I got the mirror on the
he just gets he knows him cold, so he's just basically got a coin flip.
I couldn't remember if the axis was it's been a long time.
It's the allies.
Yeah, obviously the other side is Japan, Italy, and Germany. But,
all right. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate your time.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was BG. He was playing a little high-stakes triple draw.
Yeah, I almost feel bad for interrupting him with our nonsense. He's gambling it up.
He's such a trooper. He said, you ready? Do you want to do a quick call? Yeah, sure, no problem.
He doesn't even mention to you that he's playing poker?
Didn't say that at all. Oh. He's a great guy. He's always there for us when we want to have a chat with him. That was a lot of fun. Hope everybody enjoyed that. We'll try stripper trivia with your friends. Set lines. It's kind of fun.
Maybe you could rename it if you're playing it with the family. Maybe you give it another name. Maybe poker player trivia at this point now.
Something other than stripper trivia. Yes, we should probably change the name too. It's never going to catch on.
Exotic dancer trivia
and be
the politically correct name.
It's not going to be a Johnny Lawden type meme if we call it stripper trivia. Well, we need a new name.
Because Johnny Lawden means anything to anybody.
But Lawden thinks is inoffensive to everybody. Some people aren't going to take that wrong.
You don't want to call
stripper. What does Johnny Lawden think?
Yeah. So we call it stripper trivia because that was the genesis of it.
Yeah, it is.
It needs a new name.
What does this stripper think?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get on to the big story of the week. It is the World Series of Poker Asia Pacific. And when we left you there's tons going on down at the Crown. We left you last week. Brandon Shack-Harris, friend of the show, had retaken the lead in the World Series of Poker Player of the Year race from George Dancer with a couple of events left in 2014.
He's looking good.
He was looking good. So he goes down there with a lead. Dancer passes him, and he finishes deep in an event. I think he finished a final table in an event past Brandon Shack-Harris. Brandon goes ahead and gets enough points to pass him again. There were 3 events left. Brandon Shack-Harris had the lead. Remember, I wasn't cheering against anybody at all. I don't do that, but I was cheering for Brandon. George wasn't done there.
Not cooperating with your plan.
He is uncooperative. We had some drama go down. Oh, before we get to George's drama, in the $2,200 six max no limit hold'em, 243 players. A good number. That's a decent number for that tournament so far. Took part. They were down to a final.
People love them some six max no limit.
Everybody loves it. Yeah. By the way, tournament directors take note.
Yeah. We like foot room and playing shorthanded.
Yes, it's a lot more fun. Down to the final table of 6, 2 notables remained of the 243 started. Bruno Politano, of course, the November Niner, was the short stack. He had 65,000. The blind started the final table at 1,500, 3,000. So he still had 22 BBs, not short by super short by any stretch. And the rest of the final table, they all had the other 5 guys all had around 300,000, like 100 big blinds.
Wow, this happens a lot in six max tournaments. What happens is you get this very very quick rush all the way through of players getting eliminated very quickly relative to the blinds compared to 9 max.
Their minds.
So no, it's not even that. Even if everybody's playing well, because the play is so aggressive, it just actually ends up getting really deep. I actually think people are adjusting pretty well for this, but it will end up deep organically because you're always competing for the blinds, and so the play ends up getting really deep. If you look at the average stack size of a 6 max final table or 6 max when it gets into the money, it is always deeper than a 9 max just because people are playing correctly. So not an atypical result actually to have a bunch of people really deep, although this is especially deep.
Yeah, one of those 5 remaining players with 300,000 was Mr. Philip Hellmuth.
Philip Jerome
Hellmuth had about 300K, also going for his 14th bracelet.
I was thinking, since his middle name is Jerome, maybe that's why he has such an attraction to Dom Perignon.
Jerome?
Yeah. He loves Dom. He loves blowing money on expensive champagne like a rapper.
Gotcha. All right. Jerome Hellmuth going for his 14th bracelet. Now, he's had some discussion in the past. I've seen interviews with him where he talks about the relative value of bracelets won abroad. I don't know. I think one of them was the players will get back to you and decide if they count or not. Remember that flippant attitude?
Well, I mean, he loves to decide what's important and what's not in the context of this, and it's such an important thing to him to hold on to that record.
Do you think if he would have won, he didn't, he finished 4th, by the way. Do you think if he would have won his 14th bracelet, all of a sudden they would have counted again?
Well, of course. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it would have counted anyway. He would have called himself like a 14-time bracelet winner, or he's not going to think it's any different. But I mean, I wouldn't expect it.
No, yeah, I just think it's amusing that he. All of a sudden,
that's a good point. I'm glad you remember that because people tend to have short memories for that kind of things. But of course, you hate Phil Hellmuth so much. You're never going to forget anything like that. So good for you.
I don't hate him. There's very few people I hate. I loathe Phil Hellmuth and his.
You don't hate him. You loathe him.
I loathe him.
You know, if you look up hate in the dictionary and in the thesaurus, like loathe probably shows up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of mean
They're
pretty
close.
similar things.
Some funny things though were I followed the live reporting on Poker News and the hand listings that go on. One of them, the guy who was at the final table recording the hands caught this exchange. There's a flop, king, queen. Phil gets in a raising war. I think Phil gets like the last bet in, and the other guy folds. And Phil says, "Of course I have a king. I'm Phil Hellmuth. What do you think?" And shows him a king.
Yep.
And
sounds about right.
It's just so classic. Like, what do you think? Of course I have a king. I'm Phil Hellmuth.
Nobody else says that.
Who else have you ever said of course in serious, by the way, not kidding?
No, of course not.
A lot of people would think, if a lot of people said that, you would look at it and go, oh, he's joking. He's being ironic. Phil Hellmuth's not joking.
Well, most people would say, most people I know, or most people I hang out with, or most people that I kind of like in poker, they would be like, of course I have a deuce. I'm such and such, and then show a deuce.
Right.
I think that would be the more common result.
Right.
Like, Gus Hansen, like 4 bets the king, queen flop. But like, of course I've got a deuce.
Yeah. I got a kick out of that. He ended up finishing 4th, as I said. Alex Antonios goes on to win the event.
No relation to Patrick, I'm guessing?
It's different spelling.
Oh, okay.
So it's, not the same guy. Not the same family. He wins $128,000. So decent for a $2,200 buy-in, right? 240
I think
some
so.
odd players. Yeah. So now there's 3 events left. Brandon Shack Harris leading the player of the year race. Like I said, one of the last events. There's the 5K 8 game.
Yep.
Of which Brandon and George are both very proficient
players.
at. There's the 10K main event, no limit hold'em, obviously.
Anything can happen. Yeah.
And the $25,000 high roller, no limit hold'em. Now, neither of these guys would say that their best game is no limit hold'em.
No.
So I think Brandon's sort of an internet. Well, let's set it up. So George Danzer goes on and wins the $5,000  8 game.
Right.
It's 48 players. Mixed games aren't super popular in Australia.
No.
So it's I don't know about the schedule, but I understand if they're bringing the game to different parts of the world, and maybe this will inspire people to play.
Sure, but you don't
games.
do that with a 5K.
I don't think you do it with a 5K.
Yeah.
That was what I was wondering.
That's what 1Ks are for.
Or 1,500, something like that, or even a 2,500. Like this 5K seems to be aimed at getting players to come down and hunt bracelets.
For sure.
And that's what it comes off as. So I was kind of disappointed in how that went down.
But again, like, why do you care, right? Like, do you really care who the player of the year? I mean, yeah, you like Brandon, but I mean, he benefits from this kind of thing anyway.
Oh,
do you really care who was the bracelet?
It's a
I've
storyline.
never really thought about this. You're watering down a WSOP bracelet. No, at this point, nobody gives a shit.
No.
Like,
I don't care about that. What I care about in what I was talking was growing the game. If your point
I agree,
of growing
it
the
should be a
game
1K.
is going down there, you don't make it a 5K.
Right.
And you don't placate pros who are saying, complaining about the fact that, they got to travel around the world. And I think this might have been what that was. Like, oh, okay, come down here. We're going to have this 5K. There won't be a ton of people. Maybe you make a bracelet.
Yeah, well, the pros see it on the schedule, and that makes them more inclined to play it. Right, so I mean that's the thing, but I mean there's no reason why you couldn't even run them on the same day. Like I mean you could. I mean I don't know what their tournament staffing situation logistically, it might be hard, all that kind of thing. They don't have the
48 people. It's not like that's going to take.
Well,
up a ton
yeah,
of room.
but there's still cashiers and all this kind of stuff. There's infrastructure that's still associated with running a tournament. But yeah, I generally agree with you. It seems kind of silly to run a tournament, and a lot of the thing is that they'll be victimized by that themselves, because let's say you're on the margin of deciding whether you're not a bracelet hunter, you're not a POY hunter, but you like to play tournaments for value. You see that there are 48 players in this thing, and 40 of them are good players, something like that. Are you really excited to put up $5K for this? Probably not so much. Whereas, you're talking about 1,500 that might get over 100 people, and a bunch of people who don't even know the rules to stud and all that kind of stuff. Of course, that's much more likely to be attractive.
Yeah, small. So 40 players, smallest one drop event's got to be in a long time.
I mean, that's
right?
that was the cap of the one drop, really. I mean, it's one of the smallest bracelet events. So
they end up paying 6 places, and of course Danzer, he wins his 3rd bracelet of the year. Again, 48 players, but still pretty impressive. Not a ton of people have done that. Alessandro, Ivy, Forrest, maybe. I'm not sure the other ones. He wins 85,000, picks up a bunch of points, and he passes Brandon Shaq Harris with the 2 into the Player of the Year race with 2 events left. Now, Brandon Shaq Harris, as I said, might not be down there for the 25K high roller, but he's got an interesting spot here. What's it worth to him to be Player of the Year, to have a shot at Player of the Year? Now, interestingly enough, where they're down to in the main event, they started with, I just want to get my numbers right here so I don't screw this up. They started with 329 entries into the 10K.
Right.
18 are left. This is the main event. Brandon Shaq Harris is 6th out of 18 left.
And he is
awesome.
By the way, clearly very interested. We talked a little last week about how much this motivates people. He's trying to figure out what place he needs to retake the lead. He's trying to get, he's on his own Twitter trying to figure this out going on right now. So obviously it means something to him, whether it's pride or whether it's financial or whatever, but either way it means something to him. So
it focuses him, right?
He's clearly looking to do that, to be able to take that first place.
It would be so sick if he
it would be incredible.
Crazy.
He needs first or second. And this is why when you say, do you care really? I don't really care a ton, but it's an interesting storyline.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, this kind of back and forth thing has been fun to watch. He needs second to pass George Danzer. 18 left, 6th in chips. Jackie Glazer is one of the 18. I think she's around 10th or 11th with 300,000. Looking for other names.
She'll have a big sweat crowd. She's very popular in Australia.
Yeah,
everybody there loves her.
Victor Tang is your leader, 1.8 million. Frank Sella in 4th, also a bracelet winner from the past. So interesting spot. If he doesn't make it, he doesn't happen to finish 1st or 2nd, and now does he play the 25K high roller? Is it worth it to him? It's I believe the prize
kind of sounds like it based on the way how interested he is. I mean,
flew down there.
So imagine if he finishes 3rd. Not that I would want that to happen on him, but if he finishes 3rd, he would basically need just
a minimum.
Cash. Yeah, as long as Danzer doesn't do more than that. Yeah.
So I don't know what his approach is going to be, but hopefully he binks this main event and isn't going to need to play. Well, he will if he binks it. He's probably going to play.
He's got some money now. Yeah. It's kind of
I think he's doing all right for money already after that World Series he had. It was pretty incredible. That's what's going on down. Oh, also, the other interesting thing that came out of this week was the all-time cash leader in 1 year. The most cashes in a year record was beaten this year by Ismail Bojang, who cashed in the 8-game, the 5K. He has 13 caches.
So I'm now 3rd.
I got
knocked down a spot. I had 10. I was tied for 2nd earlier.
The Russian?
So, Evdokov. Well, we were all chasing it the same year, myself and Evdokov. And
well, now it's not fair. There's tournaments all over the world that you didn't have access to. You did it in a smaller number of tournaments.
No, they still had the World Series of Europe that year, which I could have gone to, and I didn't because I'm not going for that particular reason.
Yeah.
But I think Evdokov might have gone. But Nikolai Evdokov had 12 that year, which was nuts because when I cashed 10 times, I thought I was just constantly playing. Like I just thought I was just in a tournament pretty much all the time. I'd be cashing twice in the same day. It would be what is going on here? And then to cash 13 times, even if it is over multiple jurisdictions or multiple festivals is still kind of nuts.
All right, so that is what's happening down at the World Series of Poker Asia Pacific. Hopefully Brandon Shaq Harris goes on to take down that main event, or Jackie Glazer too. She'd be a fine winner as well. We're going to do some more mailbag. We got a bunch of emails this week. We're going to go over to the Isle of Man, talk to Steve D after the break. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey folks, don't forget to follow the Pokercast crew on Twitter Adam is at Pokercast Adam, and he'll keep you up to date on things like upcoming guests, listener contests, and all the latest bacon-related food innovations. Follow Ross at Pokercast Ross, and you'll discover new hip-hop bands and learn how to not play Microstakes No Limit. Also, give us a like on Facebook, where we post lots of photos and other nonsense.
I'm George Lynn III from Team PokerStars Online, and here's my tip for making Supernova Elite. Play until you make Supernova Elite. Back to the rest of the 2+2 PokerCast presented by PokerStars VIP Club.
All right, everybody, this week we're going to do a little different. This is the PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners. We're not going to put it in the content of the show. We're going to put it in the middle of the ads to see who listens to these puppies.
That's right. We have to put food on the table, too, so that means you got to listen to the ads if you want your free roll this week.
That's right. Your free roll this week, the password is going to be Jerome.
Ha!
Yes, you got your way.
You want to spell it?
Jerome. That is Jerome.
There might be even more overlay now that it's
everybody forgets.
Extra hidden.
Yeah,
it's extra hidden this week. And don't format is 6 max no limit hold'em. That's what they did over in the World Series.
That's right. That Phil Hellmuth almost won. So that is the format and the password. Again, that's the PokerStars Invitational for the PokerCast listeners. $1.10 buy-in in the private tab of the tournament lobby. Sundays, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Add it to your grind, and good luck this weekend.
Hi, it's Team PokerStars Pro David Williams. Enjoy non-stop one-on-one action with Zoom heads-up tables. It's a new villain every single hand. Hope you're enjoying the 2+2 PokerCast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Welcome back to the 2+2 PokerCast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. That was quiz week. Should we ask Steve some quiz in the PokerStars?
I don't know.
It's a bad idea. Yeah, he's got lots to talk about this week, so we'll maybe not bother Steve with our silly little questions. Before we get to some PokerStars stuff, though, I want to get to the feedback. We've been having tons of emails and stuff.
Love it.
Been
emails
great.
And tweets and forum stuff and all that kind of good stuff. People asked, by the way, why should we, as somebody did this in the forum, why should they email as opposed to post on the PokerCast.2+2.com forum? That is a reasonable question. So your answer was?
My answer is that is the thread is for reaction to the show and stuff that goes on in the show. The emails and stuff to PokerCast@2+2.com is questions and stuff for stuff that wouldn't normally be talked about that show and can be used as content for the show.
Right. So if y'all didn't have enough to complain about this week.
Yeah, what's going on? There's only 24
posts
thread in the show thread, and like half a dozen of them are first, obviously. So there's not a ton of
yeah. So I guess maybe we can stir up some more controversy this week, or they
didn't like the show,
or they didn't like the show, or they didn't listen.
I'm gonna have to screw up some levels.
Yeah, exactly. That'll get them out. That'll get them out for sure. So okay. So basically, if you want to talk about shit that we've talked about on the show, or about the guests, or anything meta show, I guess is the sort of idea. But if you want to ask us questions, it could be strategy or whatever. That kind of stuff. And we've got some of that going on this week, too, in the mailbag. So
I'm going to completely go against what I just said and what you just said and play a take that a guy took about one of the things we talked about last week.
Just because it's our first kind of audio submission.
Right. We got an audio clip. A guy recorded himself, his take to the Phil Ivey verdict, and his name is Adam Aragon-Bright, and this is his reaction to what we talked about.
Hey guys, my name is Adam. I live in Centennial, Colorado, and I wanted to play devil's advocate about Phil Ivey. I think Phil Ivey knowingly manipulated the rules to his advantage. He got caught. When you get caught breaking the rules, there's consequences. Adam, you admitted that he had probably greater than a 6% edge. The judge might have just been trying to do his job, or uphold his ethical obligation to the law. When we walk into a casino, we know that they're there to take our money and that they have an edge. That's what allows them to keep their doors open and stay in business and continue to serve their clientele. Thanks for doing a great job on the Pokercast.
So what your reaction, Steve, to what he says?
I don't really understand, because he said, like, when you break the rules, you pay the consequences. What rule did he break? Find me the rule. There is no rule that says you can't request a deck in a Mandarin-speaking dealer and read the edges of the card. There is no rule. The rules are very.
The rules.
They accepted the rule. Well, they were
being the casino,
they're complicit in it. There are rules against electronic communication. There's a very specific rule against that. You can look it up. There are rules against sleight of hand or past posting. There are rules about all the kinds of things. So, I appreciate the guy took the time to send us this audio clip of his opinion and all that, but I think if you put this on the forum, he would get slaughtered, because there's no rule. There's no rule that says he couldn't do what he was doing.
What are you talking about?
So, and the other part about walking into casino, I already accept that I'm going to lose. That doesn't make
I don't.
That's not much fun.
What if I'm a professional sports bettor?
Right.
Exactly. What if I'm a professional poker player? I don't expect there are rules. If I walk into a casino and start playing,
card counting. Card counting is not illegal.
Yeah. But if I go in there and I'm playing roulette and I don't know how to track the wheel or whatever, then I expect to lose. But that's my problem. I mean, that's not. That doesn't mean that if I'm at a roulette wheel and some other guy is tracking that the wheel is off and he's able to make money at it, then whatever. I'm not thinking, this guy he's not allowing the casino to stay in business and allow to serve.
I don't know the casino anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody. Ivy doesn't know the casino anything. I don't. Nobody does. If you can get an edge, you're not breaking the law. You're not breaking the rules. You're not doing anything shady. Then I think you go ahead.
Knock yourself out. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Don't mean to be nasty to the first guy who sent.
I'm not being nasty.
No,
I'm disagreeing.
I know. I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying. Between the two of us, we appreciate sending in audio clips. Are fun.
Absolutely.
I like that for.
It's like our equivalent of Collins.
It is, because we don't want to take Collins.
No, because we don't want. Because we don't know what kind of crazy.
It's going to be terrible. Yeah, MJ always hated.
Can't
Collins.
give out the number to the bat phone.
Exactly. Stephen Bell from Manchester writes, "Hi Adam, you've been asking for emails, so here goes. I'm a little behind at the podcast, and I've just been listening to 334 when you briefly touched on the issue of some players using scripts or other software to search and sit for preferential seats. Got me to thinking there's a possible solution to not display open seats at a table that allow you to choose where to sit, but assign the next player to sit at a random position at the table. If add a reseat timeout of say 5 minutes to prevent people from repeatedly standing up and doing it. As a guy who works in that side of the other side, the client side of the poker industry, what do you think of that?
I think that's a pretty reasonable suggestion. I think a lot of the times it's always a balance between being player friendly, like a lot of these sort of things that are sort of people construe them as good ideas so that people stop basically being dickheads, which is what this kind of thing is. So like, don't be a dickhead by bum hunting or getting up and sitting down or repeatedly trying to get position on the fish and all this kind of stuff. It has to be weighed against how the casual player will perceive it, because there might be some guys out there who are not pros who are like, well, why can't I choose my own seat? That's stupid. I'm going to go play somewhere else, or I don't like this. I can live poker. Seat number 4 is my favorite lucky seat. I always sit in seat number 4, and all this kind of stuff has to be weighed against this. So it's a reasonable idea. It's one of those things that you could maybe play with, experiment with if you were Stars or if you're a big site. It's not an unreasonable suggestion at all. I don't know if it solves all the problems of it too, because the problem, I think a lot of the issue with seating script as well is not just to get the seat that you want, but to get the table that you want. And this doesn't resolve that particular problem.
Right. That's the issue. Okay, that's a couple of the submissions we got this week to Pokercast at 2plus2.com. Please send in your stuff, and we will, if it's good, we'll get it on the air. We can't do 100%. Our 100% record is ruined.
Oh, no. You're doing the
I've now had to filter it, because that's a good thing. We're getting enough stuff.
We're getting a critical mass,
too.
So now people have to step up their game. Mass. Well, that's the thing. Now if they know you have to make the X percentile to get your letter read on the air, or whatever.
They're going to make it better.
They're going to make it better.
Okay,
that's the idea, that's the excuse for using anyway.
We'll do some more stuff with some more submissions. First, we're going to head over to the Isle of Man and talk to our old friend, Mr. Steve Day. And we bring him in now. Welcome, Steve, back to the 2plus2 Pokercast, sir.
Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
One thing I noticed, Steve, this week from the Isle of Man was a dispatch from yourself regarding the 2015 VIP program, the changes that are going to happen. Of course, it's October. People are, planning their next year of either going for Supernova Elite, what have you. They want to know if the programs are going to be affected. And I'm PokerStars, Steve will tell us, but I'm sure they review the program each year and decide on what they're going to do going forward. Steve, what can you tell us about the changes for 2015?
Basically, there is only one change. Generally speaking, our industry-leading rewards program is going to stay the same, which I know or hope many players are happy about. There's one change. It is for those who make Supernova Elite. We're no longer offering the $5,200 worth of WQ buy-ins for the Supernova Elites. So it affects 400 or fewer players.
So sort of a small change, 50, I think Supernova Elite people talk about is worth in the $100,000 range. You're saying that one of the things of that package is a $5,200 Wacoop main event entry. So that's taken off the table. Everything else, the multipliers, the bonuses, etc., are staying the same.
So there is one situation where if certain countries introduce regulation and thus taxation, we do tend to reconsider the rewards program for that specific market and make an adjustment as well. So for any countries that might have regulations and taxation coming into place, people there might see an adjustment as well, but that just depends on events in various countries. Other than that, the rewards program is maintaining the status quo for the time being, which we're pretty happy about. It's a very strong rewards program. We think it's the best in the industry and rewards players quite reasonably well. And so hopefully it'll continue to be something that people consider to be an advantage of playing at PokerStars.
One of the things you said in that statement, Steve, on 2+2 was that there might be some changes, some further changes for 2016. There was a bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, I will leave it at foreshadowing for now. There's nothing firm. It's not that there's nothing firm to announce, but there's no firm decision made. But certainly, it's likely. We did quite a substantial review of the VIP program. There's this one thing we were okay with doing this year, but if I were to guess, I would guess we would make more changes for next year.
Yeah, I mean, PokerStars has never been one to kind of sit around and not tinker and twiddle, and that's why they've become as successful as they are. But of course, the most important thing is this show is sponsored by the VIP Club, the PokerStars VIP Club. So what everybody really, really cares about is, are Adam and I fired yet? Or when is that one of the 2016 changes, or is that coming into effect soon?
Well, Terrence, we definitely fully renewed the contract last time it came up with.
There's a contract. Nobody
Adam
told me about this.
Guest to be named later. So,
guess.
Now you've added firm talent, or you could add firm talent by signing on a more permanent basis.
I see. I've been picked up off the waiver wire.
I'm going to start referring to Terrence as firm talent from now on. I think that's a great nickname.
Yeah, that was my porn star nickname too. By the way, it was Terrence Firm Talent.
Was or is?
Yeah.
No, fair enough, Steve. Obviously, PokerStars moving into a lot of regulated markets, and with that regulation comes taxation and costs. Daniel Negreanu, the face of PokerStars, and one of the reasons why he is the face, Steve, is because he is opinionated and not afraid. He's not afraid to say, what he's thinking. I know he's not speaking for the company when he said what he said in the thread, but you had to be sort of smiling at some of the things that he had to say in an ironic way there. What he was talking about, you wouldn't want to know what I would do if I was in charge of the VIP program. Did you read any of that, Steve?
Yeah, I definitely read what Daniel had to say. I definitely did. Not exactly the way I would have put it, I guess. And as I do run the VIP program, and I haven't massively cut, or we you haven't massively cut rewards for top-end players, I guess you could say that in some sense Daniel and I are on a line, but that's oversimplifying things. You know, he's come in to make a point in a thread and said some things, and I think he got his point across. His point has I think very clearly some basis, right?
Sure.
In reality, it's a very complicated relationship between the site and the winning players. And there's an element of customer, there's an element of partner, and kind of trying to mesh the two is complicated. And if you read people's comments, and it sounds like they're coming across as really entitled customers when really it's their business and they're profiting and taking a living out of things. You know,
right.
He came back and responded in that way, I guess, coming from the other extreme.
I think one of the
I
ways...
haven't had a chance to speak to Daniel about his in detail about his views about the ecosystem anytime recently, so I wouldn't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think he made a point.
Yeah, he made a point. I think one of the things that the way I sort of felt about it, the way it came off, and the way, of course, I talk to you every week, is that you know, you as a VIP program manager, you have you feel that the relationship between PokerStars and the pros who play on the site is more symbiotic. He might have a little bit more towards a view of a parasitic relationship, and I mean, I understand it's a continuum, you know, between parasitic and symbiotic, and you know, and beneficial only to the site, and all this kind of thing, and I think that's why you do well at your job. Like, yeah, you probably have some Supernova elites who are a little bit mad at you this week, but you know, in the end, they're losing maybe 5% of what they're generating, and you've kind of, you know, made that so that you didn't have to make changes to the other part of the program. So you know, you're kind of damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But Daniel kind of sort of you know, he's never really been a grinder. I think that's the thing. He's always been a superstar at the game, one of the most elite players in the game, and then he managed to turn his brand into something that was even more valuable than the actual poker playing itself. And you know, not everybody can do what he does and has that opportunity.
Well, you could say, ironically, Daniel is a perfect example of a winning player who is not bad for a site.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an example of success at poker, a game of skill, and what you can do if you apply yourself and are successful in the game. And we have all kinds of players who are providing these examples and demonstrating what poker success looks like and how it's attainable.
Yeah, Steve, I'll agree with you. I think some of the entitledness in that thread, or in a lot of threads regarding the VIP program, isn't cool. But also, on the same hand, I will say that I thought Daniel was a little sort of dismissive of the poker ecosystem, and I'm not sure his understanding of how everything works and the relationship between winning players and the site. I don't know that he's got a firm grasp on that. That's what I would say.
It may be that he does, and it may that he doesn't. He's a pretty bright guy. You know, it's tough to know from one forum post. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's one post in a certain context of a conversation in response to a specific person, and I wouldn't want to draw any conclusions about Daniel's overall worldview from that one particular exchange.
Fair enough. I know it's been a long day for you, Steve. It's now evening over there in the Isle of Man instead of waking you up in the mornings. You've had a long day with the player representatives. What can you tell us about how the meetings are going, and you know, who's involved?
Yeah, we've got several representatives from 4 different forums around the world that have been selected to come join us over here and speak for over 3 days. So we had first day of our meetings in the office today, and then a nice meal tonight. It's been a pleasure getting to know the players. The representative from 2+2 is actually a repeat representative, so it was good to renew his acquaintance, and it was really good for him to have the opportunity to meet with the other guys beforehand and tell them a little bit about what to expect, and he can provide a little bit of background and ensure continuity to the meetings. playing over time, shares some continuity, right? And it's good from our perspective because we can get hit their view on how well we're adapting to what we're hearing. It's been really nice. I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from our players directly from time to time. It helps renew the customer focus in the team, and I value it, and I know many others do as well.
What are some of the main topics on the docket for these four guys this year, Steve?
You know, we try to cover a really wide breadth of topics. You know, we cover all the major game types, sit and go, ring game, scheduled tournaments. In terms of the offering out there, we cover the product software features. We cover promotions. We cover, forum presence. VIP program will be a big topic this particular time. VIP store merchandise, just a broad selection of just the overall player experience on the site to get the thoughts of the players and bounce some ideas off of them.
Fantastic. There was a lot of talk this week, too, Steve, about the spin and go format. And obviously these have been, and maybe you can speak to this, a fantastic success on the site in that there many millions of these games have gone off. They're entertaining for the casual player. There are some people in a little bit entitled breath complaining about the fact that this is killing part of their ecosystem of their little area of the poker world. But what, in general, Steve, what's sort of been the reaction to the success of these? And are you happy with sort of this move towards a little bit more lottery-based poker with the casual player in mind?
Am I happy with it? I find the format fun to play personally, which I don't know. It actually has as much to do, I think, with the three-handed structure as it does with the prize pool.
Yeah.
But so I'm happy with it. It's successful. I think it's a fun and exciting game type, and our players overall seem to enjoy it. So we're in the business of providing experiences that people want. we don't have the position that we're going to dictate to people what is fun. We might restrict game types based on whether if it was particularly motivating for collusion or something like that. But beyond that, if people want to play it, there's an overall management of liquidity. But generally speaking, we want to deploy the games people want to play. That's what we're doing, is serving our customers. Very clearly, this is a format people want to play. With regard to people being upset that it's pulling some opponents from their existing game types, use the word entitlement. Of course, there is that extreme out there, but also there's some genuine concern and respect for the players who are used to a certain amount of liquidity in their games and are impacted. And to that end, we did give a heads up on 2+2 in late July or early August that this was going to be coming right around this time of year. So we gave quite a bit of notice, and people in those threads went out, and the single table terminal and the heads up sit and go subforums went out, and some of them tried the jackpot sit and goes on full tilt, which was similar. And they came back and reported, ran graphs and simulations, been talking over the impact and how to adjust with other folks. The one thing they hadn't been able to do is play a lot of the games and see what kind of edge there would be in the PokerStars community. And from what we're seeing, there seems to be a pretty substantial edge there from the reports I've seen. So I kind of expect from people who are actually playing a lot of them, and this is the reports from people who are actually playing a lot of the tournaments, and who are regular sit and go players and are skilled at the three-handed format. Over time, seeing complaints reduce is what I would expect, because there's a lot of skill in that format. Even though there's the added variance in the outcome due to the prize pool randomization, the best poker players are going to have good results in the long term, even if the long term takes a little longer to get to.
Fair enough. I've played, still playing a bunch of them. The biggest one I'm playing the $30 ones. The biggest one I've ever had still is the $300 prize pool, the 10X. I haven't
Did you take it down?
I did not.
You choker.
No, I choked. Yeah.
No, sorry, Adam. Did you find your opponents played better in the big one?
I don't know. Maybe I can't remember, to be honest. I was playing 4 of them at once or whatever. So it's a little bit hard to follow which one is which. I specifically try not to look at the prize pool on the table.
So you don't play bad.
I don't play different because it's that. But looking forward to the deal making. Is that going to happen, Steve? Anytime soon?
I don't want to make a commitment on that. I think it's kind of generally agreed that we're going to need to implement it when we're able to.
Gotcha.
But anytime soon, soon in terms of our development cycles, maybe soon in terms of the way customers would consider soon, probably not.
Fair enough. Thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate the input from the Isle of Man, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
There he is. Thank you, Steve. We will talk to you next week. Let's get to some more stuff, some more input from the listeners. Ken C., he emails us in a PLO hand to get our opinion on this. Be good. It is a 1-2-5 PLO game. I know you're a PLO guy. You just grind PLO all day.
I enjoy the occasional.
1-2-5 PLO. Bring in is 5. It's a local game, 7-handed. Fair players at a fun bunch. A couple of weak spots. Nobody getting out of line. 2 hours in. No real swings. This hand came up. I looked down on the button with about 400 to start the hand. With about 400 to start the hand, and saw everybody limp in front of me for 5. I looked down at 3-3-8-9. Now,
not the most premium, man.
Yeah,
the old 9-8-3-3 with a 1 suit.
9 high spades.
But he's got a button.
He's
got a button.
8,
Why
9.
not?
It's $5. It could come. It could flop quads, right?
Yeah.
So I looked down 3-3-8-9 and was nagged into calling by the small blind, who I just beat for 60 big blinds. First of all, don't ever get nagged into calling by somebody who you just beat. It doesn't matter. I was thinking about raising or folding. I think raising is probably pretty terrible. Friendly game, so I make a very questionable call. Calling the blinds to the flop in a family pot 7 ways. That's great. Flop comes ace, ace, 7. Now, first of all, I'll finish what he says. Fairly quickly checks around the table, and not really wanting to bet in this pot, I check. Well, yeah.
No kidding.
When 6 other people, when everybody who has
you
cards
might not want to bet 3s.
Limps in Parliament Omaha, and it comes ace, ace, 7. There's an ace out there. You don't want to bet 3s, but 100% of the time, there's an ace out there. I mean, you could just assume that. Everybody checks around. The turn spikes a 3, so he fills up. On the turn, he has bottom full. It gets checked around to him. I think for a moment and put out 25. Folds around to the cutoff, who makes a pretty quick call. So he bets 1 call. River 6, cutoff checks, semi-quick, staring down at his phone, which he's been doing all night. He started with a little more than 500, and he blew me off a few hands earlier in the hand. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, looking at my under full, I decided to check behind, as I cannot call a check raise in a smallish pot. Only way to find out is to to bet more is, what does he say? With a smallish pot, only way to get more in is to let me lead out so he can check raise. My hand held up as he showed ace, king, queen, jack, double suited. He had trips. Now my question is, did I play this hand correctly? Especially on the river, should I have let out? One of the dealers made a comment.
How the hell do you limp in the cutoff with ace, king, queen, jack, double suited after 4
everybody
limpers?
Limps. It's terrible.
How did this hand even happen?
So here's my thoughts on the river. I play a fair amount of PLO. First of all, I'm not going to play the hand before the flop. I'm definitely going to check the flop when it gets checked around to me. The 3 doesn't get me too excited because I think
I'm still betting the turn after the whole field checks twice.
I'm betting the turn, but I'm probably not calling a raise.
No, certainly
if I
not.
get check raise.
Of course not. Yeah.
Now, when the river comes and it checks to him, I'm gonna so as played when he checks the turn, it gets checked around on the river. I'm gonna bet the river and I'm gonna fold to raise.
I agree. I play it the exact same way. It's very unlike the only kind of hand that you're really worried about is specifically a hand that has a 6 in it, because most of the time
you got all the 3s.
Yeah, you've got all the 3s. You don't expect he would have called with pocket 6s. Like pocket 7s is a small possibility, but even then it's hard to check raise. It's hard hard. Well, he's not check raising, and it's hard to believe he would have checked pocket sevens twice, right? He checked it on the flop and the turn. I mean, this guy clearly plays really scared because he limped with ace, king, queen, jack, double suited. He did not bet the turn. He did not bet the flop or the turn in the. I believe he's a cutoff. The villain's a cutoff.
Yeah.
So the guy obviously doesn't. Bet lightly. I mean, to put the least. I mean, he's got a great hand. I mean, he flopped well, and he turned fine.
All the redraws.
He's
to the
got
nuts.
Every redraws to the nuts. So I don't know what the hell that guy is doing. In the case, to be perfectly honest. So yeah. That being said, I would probably value bet the river as well. Obviously, you're going to fold to a raise because
guy could have a7.
You're never good. Obviously, this is kind of spots you put yourself in. Like that being said, I think it's clear for both of us that we would bet again small for value on the river.
Yeah.
But when you play 3-3-8-9, like the real only good thing that can happen is that you make a full house, or a straight with the 8-9, which isn't neither of which is very good.
Or quads.
And so I mean, make quads against. Yeah, it could come, but whatever. But yeah,
you got the whole deck. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, tough
spot. Not really tough spot actually. I think it's a pretty clear bet fold in the river.
Yeah, I think he played the flop and the turn fine, and I think he did not butcher it certainly as badly as the guy with ace, king, queen, jack. What's that all about?
Yeah, you want to be playing in that game. Speaking of hands, I think our boy Ross was playing some 1-2. He had a hand that he wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, this weekend.
1-2 no limit hold'em.
Okay, I didn't play great this weekend. But the
good, so you won't feel bad when
you can tear me apart. The hand that's bothering me the most was I was checking out some Crush Live Poker with Bart Hansen.
Yeah.
And he was talking about in live games limping in late position against aggressive blinds, so you can limp re-raise with a strong hand, and then nobody gives you credit for it. So, that being said, I wake up with aces on the button. Now, there's everybody limps in 1-2 all the time, so it limps 5 limpers to me on the button.
You got a lot of money?
And I have about 440 in front of me.
That's a lot of money.
It's been up and down. I'm probably stuck about 2 buy-ins at this point.
That doesn't matter.
This is 1-2.
Yes. Yeah. So, limps around to me. I call.
You do the Bart Hansen. You limp on the button.
I limp on the button with pocket aces. The big blind makes it 12.
That's what you wanted.
We get 3 callers, and it comes back to me. I make it 45.
I like your sizing.
Yeah,
I think I would have made it a little bigger. I feel like it's okay to blast a bit. You got 4 opponents in this pot at this point. I think it's okay to blast a little here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the argument is the original limp is nobody will give me credit for a big hand because this doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So when you actually do this and it actually works, which it won't work, a lot of times it won't work. It's hard to rely on the blinds to relays. People are going, "What in the shit is this?"
Yeah.
And maybe they'll just stuff with jacks or whatever like that. I think
that would have been ideal.
So I think I make it a bit more there.
Okay. So everybody folds except for Under the Gun +3, I think. I've played with him once or twice before. I don't really know his game.
There's no hand he could have that's a good. It's that he's. Well, I guess actually, after everybody
There's
folds,
a ton of dead money in the pot.
I forgot about the dead money.
And that's another reason to make it bigger because you don't want that dead. Because at some point they're thinking if they can get heads up with the 9-7 suited, then it's reasonable.
Yeah. Okay, so he calls.
So he thinks for a little bit and he calls. Now the flop is Queen 9-8 Rainbow.
Not exactly what you're looking for.
Grand flop at all.
That is not good.
So that smacks ranges that are going to play hands like that, right?
Yeah. So he checks to me. I bet pretty big. I bet 80 into the pot, which is about 120-ish.
Yeah, seems right.
With the dead money.
Okay.
So I bet 80. He thinks for 25 seconds, a little bit long, and sheepishly calls the $80.
Is he Hollywooding at this point? I mean, sheepishly, you say.
Well, we don't know. We have all the information that he has. He's sheepish.
Yeah.
So he calls.
Sheepish call.
The turn is a jack.
This kind of gets better and better.
Yeah.
You're done.
Queen, jack,
He
9-8.
checks to me. And this is, me and Adam were talking about this before. I think this is
I'm curious as to, well, don't say that because I'm curious as to what Terrence says.
Okay. So I bet 150. I have about 300. Left at this point. I bet about half my stack, 150. He thinks and shoves.
Okay, you're done with the hand. To me, if you're betting 150 on the turn, you realize you're purely bluffing, right? At this point,
You turn your hand into a bluff. That's what I said to him. I said I'd check behind there 100 times out of 100.
Yeah. It is really tough. I mean,
it's hard for him to have a 10.
You could turn your hand into the bluff. You are awfully close to the bottom of your range here at this point. Really, there's not a lot that you can really have here. So you're really you're
the story I was trying to tell was that I didn't have much, and I wanted to keep buying the pot by making these huge bets.
Right.
Going to call you the ace queen or something?
Yeah.
So, by the way, you said he's done with hand, but he wasn't done with that. He check raised, and then Ross called.
I called off the rest of my stack.
And he had a 10.
And he had king 10.
Yeah, so he called the guy. He called the flop with the gutter.
He called it with the gutter ball.
Yeah. So, again, I think I'm checking behind there 100 times out of 100. When he bets the river, it depends on a lot of things at that point, but I'm probably going to fold.
Do you guys agree that in these fishy live games, I should probably not try and be tricky and just bet for value most of the time?
Yeah, and like I said, I think you should hit it harder before the flop, especially if you're going to take the weird line of limping on the button.
Yeah,
because that's not going to happen. A lot of times you're just going to limp, and the blinds are going to check, and
you
now you feel a tiny pot 8 ways with aces.
Get in.
Yes, that's
At a pair.
You did have you've had one pair.
All right. Next thing we had as far as submissions to the show was one I got on Twitter, and I follow this guy because he's funny. His Stars Reg Problems at Stars Reg Problems on Twitter. He sent a tweet. I don't see all the mentions I get on tweet. Do you read them
I
all?
try to look every couple of days, but I don't always. Yeah.
He sent a.
But do keep sending them to us. We try to read. You're at Pokercast. Adam.
Please do.
I'm at T-Chan Poker, and
After this, I will now read them all.
If you can get through your comment in 140 characters or fewer, we would like to hear from you.
Yes, he said a couple of weeks back. I went back and found it. He said, "Hey man, recently I've been listening nonstop to all your old podcasts. Your content is really, really good. I don't know why I hated before." So he discovered that he
doesn't hate it. Did he hate it?
Yeah, I don't know. And then he sent a tweet. This is this week. So that other one was a couple weeks ago. At Pokercast, Adam, I give you props for the Pokercast a week ago and didn't get acknowledged. So now I hate you again. Burn in hell.
Hey, that's stable. That's mental stability right there.
That's why I follow him on
This
Twitter.
is Dear Stan. Dear Stars Reg Problems, please don't drive your car over a cliff with your girlfriend in the trunk.
That's right. Anyway, I got a kick out of that, so I thought that would be funny. Chris Haynes, our boy Chili Dog, writes in. How much you got?
Right now?
Yeah,
Me?
he's
Let's
guessed.
see what I got.
T-Chan, how much do you have?
Oh, T-Chan. Okay, so this is Canada, so I've got Canadian funds on me, so I'm stalling as I'm trying to figure this out.
American funds count.
American funds
All
count.
your
I
money
don't
counts.
think I have any American funds. Oh, I do. I have the old Thomas Jefferson in there. So
TJ.
So looks
Ross,
like
count your money.
1, 2, 3. Oh, it's a combined. How much you got?
No.
Are we gonna add
He's
on
guessed all three.
Oh, he's got all three.
Does my check count?
No.
Cash plays.
Cash plays.
As it goes. Okay, so I have with the American, I have 475. I think is the number 475.
All right, he guessed 175. Not even close.
Well, he got the last 2 digits right. I mean,
For me, he guessed $45. Which kind of Chris is my boy.
I'm 4 times wealthier than you for starters.
It's more than 4, but this is what he's guessed currently. I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
You have almost the same as me.
$540.
You have slightly more than me.
I have $540. Don't mug me.
But Chris
on the way
thinks that you. Well, how are you going
to? I'm a broadcast, and I'll tell you why he thinks.
With the props.
I'll tell you why he thinks
That's what the money's for.
Ross, he guesses you have $43.
That's a hundo right there.
$150.
He's the only one with spare change, though.
He's counting change.
That counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Money.
So just so you can get a little hear of that.
In Canada, our change is worth a lot.
It's true. We have $1 coins and $2 coins.
144.70.
That's it.
144.90.
Yeah, you can round that off. Ross. That's
right,
okay.
so,
our change is worth a lot.
And 2 green apples.
He was nowhere close, and 2 apples. Chris, I'm bummed that you only thought
he basically undershot all of us, right?
Yeah, he did. He goes on, asking for a friend, he says, what's the best way to go about reminding somebody they owe you a poker debt? At this year's World Series of Poker, my friend bought a small piece of action from a new friend of his. His horse luck boxed his way into a little money in the little one for one drop, so he's owed a little back. He doesn't want to be a dick about it and start a Mattisau Forest-style Twitter war over it, but at some point he wants his share. This friend did receive money from the aforementioned Horsewell in Vegas, but it was for eating broccoli and cauliflower, and therefore unrelated to our poker agreement. My friend thinks the horse just forgot he's a busy guy. We keep assuring him that this guy is a jobless hockey fan who grinds microstakes Zoom Omaha, punts off money to grapes and OFC, and hosts a poker podcast occasionally. Should he count his losses, sell off his debt to a grandma-type figure, and let them worry about breaking legs and stomach punches? Any help you can offer would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure my friend will be grateful to know how
I vote for the Forest Twitter thing.
Forest Twitter? Take it to Twitter?
Take it to Twitter, call him out, get retweets.
Yes.
Tweet at Daniel Negreanu and get him to do this. So you want to spleen yourself?
For those that don't know, Chris bought a piece of me at the World Series of Poker. I bricked the 3K Omaha 8 or better. I played two events. Bricked the 3K Omaha 8 or better, and I min-cashed the one drop for a little over whatever the buy was.
The little one drop.
So it was sort of the small amount of money, and I haven't bothered with it because other people bought. Adrienne Rosen bought some.
Yeah.
She sent me money on PokerStars. I got to send her the money back, but other people just said I'll buy a piece, and then we settle up later, and it's this $89 or something, and I just haven't got around, and it's my own fault, and I apologize. It's stupid. I should have done it by now.
It's just awesome because I'm so glad you did it because it gave rise to that email, which was awesome.
Yes,
that's great. Fantastic. But I mean, deadbeat host. So next week on the program. So I guess
somebody else is hosting.
I'll host the show myself. Adam Schwartz has been removed for integrity reasons.
Yeah,
I love it though. But I mean, it is a great way. It is people forget about small bets like that all the time, and I know I do too, which is why I never really sell like a small piece of myself. And small is relative to every event. So some people like selling a piece of themselves that are 100K is small, and some people selling a piece of themselves for a $500 tournament is significant.
Yeah.
But the thing is that if it's not meaningful enough to you, you're probably going to forget it, and it's probably a bad idea to sell off pieces. And I know you were doing it not because you needed funds to play at 1K, but because you wanted to give people a sweat. But then stuff like this happens and you forget. So
we all have this mental flaw, which pretty much guarantees we'll lose money.
Yes, that's pretty much what had happened.
Yeah, so I mean, I've done it before too. I've bought pieces of people that didn't matter to me, and I forget, and same thing. So
all right, so I will get around to that this week. Thank you for the reminder.
Very tactful.
It was great. It was an awesome email. Xander writes in, "Hi guys, first thing I have to say, I love the show. Look forward to it every week. My idea is that you have a segment titled A Day in the Life of, and someone talks through a bit of detail, a typical day in their life. We heard one before from Alan Boston. It was great. Would love to hear more. Adam could start off with a typical day as an online poker pro, husband, father. TC could potentially do his segment 3 times. A typical day as an online pro, typical day preparing for a fight, and a day working for PokerStars Ultimate. If it's a success, you can invite others on to tell about their day, live tournament pros, etc. First of all, my day would be fantastically boring.
I feel like, so I was just listening on the drive back from Kamloops to Vancouver. It's a lengthy drive, so I had my podcast all queued up. I was listening to Tim Ferriss talk about like journalists have wanted to do day in the life, and Tim Ferriss is a pretty interesting guy. He's an entrepreneur. He's written books and all this kind of stuff. And he's like saying it would be fantastically boring. I've never said yes because it would be fantastically boring. And I think there's this idea that people's lives are much more interesting than they really are when they're interesting people. Like, and I'm not saying that you and I are boring people,
or interesting,
but the fact is, it's boring. Like a day in the life of today. I woke up, I drank coffee, I drove a really long time in the rain, and I came back here. I did some research for the PokerCast, and then I came over here. I mean, and you did pretty much the same thing.
I did,
It's right. And that's why I think there is a market for things like documentaries about interesting people, right? So like if you watch a lot of these really clean edited documentaries following around, whatever, like UFC fighters is a thing. Like if you like if what's his name again? The guy.
Hit him in the face.
What's the name of the guy who wrote in again?
Xander.
Xander. If Xander wants, like, watch UFC Embedded, because those are really good short bits of what fighters actually kind of go through on the day before a fight and that kind of stuff. You know, they're trying to make weight. They have to do their media obligations, but they're like 12-minute long things, because the fact of the matter is, if somebody's awake for 16 hours, they don't have 16 hours of interesting shit. They've got like 30 minutes of interesting shit.
Of course. Yeah.
So
and it's edited nicely.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's nice and edited.
For me, I basically get up, I decide what I'm going to eat for lunch and breakfast and lunch. That takes a little while.
Yeah.
I peruse my fantasy football and see if I can make a trade, pick up. I listen to the Fantasy Focus podcast, the football podcast on ESPN generally, and drive my kid to a hockey game or a practice, and make dinner and hang out with the family. I mean, that's basically my day generally. And,
play poker and same with like online grinders. I mean, online grinder, they wake up, they do stuff, they surf Facebook or whatever, and they end up playing online.
I think we all do have interesting days, but
few and far between.
Because the thing about a day in the life of X is it sort of implies that this is like a normal day for you.
Yeah.
Like, I could go through interesting days, and if you cherry picked like the 10 most interesting days
That'd be fun.
I've had some great ones. I've absolutely. But you want to take like the average, the median, the mode day. Holy shit, would people be
You gotta
bored with
follow
that?
like a Phil Ivey type.
I bet even that would be disappointing. Like, I mean, he's not every day getting on a private jet going to Europe to play Baccarat, I don't think. I mean, I feel like probably there's a bunch of days where Phil Ivey just sits there on YouTube and watches videos of cats, in his underwear. I bet that's happening.
People would still watch that.
Well, that's
probably
very true, because it's Phil.
That is true. Well, we got to everything, I think. The EPT in London is over there. We're going to see some results come in next week. I think it's in full flight. I think the main event might be on right now, but we'll get to some of the results over there next week.
I got 2 more weeks in this city.
You got 2 more weeks left to do the show.
It's raining. It was awful weather in Vancouver, and I just couldn't think that I got to get over. I got to get out of this.
We got to get over
to
there
Asia, and you guys got to get over there too.
Indeed,
we'll have some fun on the other side of the pond.
So some thanks today. We have lots. Thank you to Steve Day, Mr. Shaun Deeb, Mr. Barry Greenstein, Mr. Michael Johnson, Ross on the one.
I like it here so much.
Yes, and Terrence, and of course you, to everybody who's listening to the show. Appreciate it. Come and check out spend some time in the thread this week.
Yeah,
we need some feedback.
Pokercast.2plus2.com.
Yes, we have
Photoshop stuff.
Get at it.
We have Photoshop stuff. Get over 24 posts this week, please. We need the over. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to 2plus2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. We'll talk to you next week.
Jerome.
Or
Errol. Errol or Jerome?
Errol?
Jerome. I like
Errol.
Jerome.
Errol?
Okay. Errol.
Jerome.
Thanks for joining us. The 2plus2 Pokercast has been presented to you by the